Try this again. Holy mackerel. Sorry about that false start, guys. Had a bit of an issue. Good to see you, Janar. A network connection issue, but it's all good now. Sweet tea, good to see you. Welcome. Happy Saturday, guys. Sitting around having a Red Bull. Susan Bezio. Hello! Little falsetto for you there. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Hemi. Hey, House Music. Good to see you. Yeah, we're back. Figures. I never shut my computer and system off, and I often forget to, reset everything every now and then. Especially with the amount of data that comes through here. Hugging demons. What's going on? Lori Green. Just a clapping seals in here tonight. Hello. New faces. Karen Ashdown. Truth for me. Hello. Truth for me. I love it. All kinds of things going on out there. I was just checking out, looking through some different things from global news. I've ignored global news and their spin on things, but they have some unique interviews with Daniel. And they're worth taking a look at, of course. The more I get thinking about it, I'm starting to wonder what Janie was really actually doing out there. First digging potholes, then it became raking for a pool and leveling off ground. And this dog. So that's two things that Belinda, and I believe Belinda wholeheartedly in this sense. She's been very nice about it. But with Belinda Gray, she's talked about how it was a different dog than the Tucker that we see in the CBC interview. It was a lot larger of an animal. And of course, she was the first one to point out the changing of the story early on to raking as opposed to Janie out there digging potholes like she had first said. So it sounds like it sounds very peculiar. Now, hold on. Let me get some things pulled up here. I had everything ready to go, right where I needed. But we're going to have to find them again. Just a second. We'll have to find them all. Welcome in, everybody. Karen, it's 1 o'clock out there in the UK. You're up late tonight. That's good. We're the late show in the UK. Tonight, anyway. Had everything ready to go. Now I have to do it together. We have to do this together now. Usually come prepared for these things. It's actually, I thought I had a picture. Somewhere I'm sure I had a picture of Logan. Old Logan McKenzie, the catfish. Hashtag no filter. Now we'll get this pulled up. Well, there's one screen up. Holy shit. Could go a little faster. I'm trying to get the other screen though. There we go. Holy mackerel, it's tough. What the hell is going on in this picture? There's a lot going on there, isn't there? There's that part of the door that old Danny has jimmied shut. Scared of the beers coming in there. I'll just bet you are. Looks like some beta tanks out there. So, why was Janie seemingly taking out aggregate from the driveway. Everything that happened here, she says. I'm assuming that's the this that she's talking about. There we go, assuming again. But again, it's never quite clear from her. So maybe there's some reason to think a little bit more deeper into this possibility of the other dog having something to do with at least one of the child's death. Now, that still doesn't account for both children. Unless, of course, there's a lot more maliciousness to it. Was it that maybe it was a punishment? They threatened Jack and Lily if they didn't quiet down that they were going to sick the dog on them. Maybe they did sick the dog on them. But what would possess them to not call an ambulance when it happened and take that next steps as though it's just collateral damage and they're now disposing of bodies, removing aggregate, removing dirt from the driveway in an attempt to cover up their tracks, and they're going to falsely report the kids missing to the RCMP. So it kind of makes sense, though, when you try to mix that in with all of the traffic between the hours of midnight, 4 a.m., says Bradley Wong, and it would seem to be going this way and that way in different directions. This could be old Danny boy driving around the dirt that him and Janie are digging out of the driveway to dump at the side of the road somewhere else to get rid of the evidence at the scene of the crime. Word up, Brian. What's going on? Hey, Robin Edwards. Is that Daniel's one pair of boxer shorts drawing? He's pretty quiet lately, isn't he, Paula? Are those boxers? I think it might be a hand rake. I hope it is. Probably as part of some sort of wiping device that Janie uses when she poops in the 5-gallon bucket in that RV. Some Romanesque type of rag on a stick. They could not even make a safe and clean place for Jack and Lily. Let's not forget Meadow. How many more kids you guys want to have in there? What was the plans, do you guys think, with this relationship of theirs? Hey, Sky Maiden. Good to see you. What was this relationship? What was the direction? What were they hoping to get out of this? Love forever after? Well, that's going to be hard. So just under a year they lasted at Patty's before they got asked, well, before Daniel got asked to get the fuck out. Excuse me, good sir. So they moved back here. And things certainly didn't get any better. Isolated Malaya away from the rest of the clan, and Daniel returned to Safe Harbor, where everybody loved him like Cheers. Danny, welcome home, buddy. It's funny to me, too, you know, that Justin, Danny's so innocent and he's in need of such support. Where the fuck is your brother? Why is he avoiding this situation at all costs? Geez, I could hardly believe he would want to do something like that. Aren't you guys in need of support? Listen, this is my brother and this is my mom's. Justin knows exactly how guilty you are. You were So sketchy, you and Janie, Daniel, since the get-go of all of this. You avoided at all costs interacting with the RCMP. You're too busy out looking at in all these places that a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old couldn't walk to. If anything that you told the RCMP was remotely true. Yeah, Mayflower, I'm of that as well. Like, there's so much we don't know about that. I'm just keeping it open. You're saying, hey, everyone, I would think that if the dog attacked one of the kids or both, it would be a bloody mess. I would expect so, too. The dog would have picked up on the scent even if it was scraped, raked away. Well, not really. What are you sending for? They're trying to... First of all, the track dogs aren't going to do anything. They're looking all over the place for them, except for right there in the driveway. Human decomp? Not if you die in that brutal fashion. That's a fresh kill. There's no decomp involved, especially on a cold night in that sense. Very little. And they removed all the soil. It's not like they're at a shortage around there. Just putting it out there. I'm not saying that that's what's happened, but it's my train of thought. But, I mean, listen. I don't want you to think that I'm simplifying things. Or don't let your mind simplify it for you and just blame the dog. Because we have 2 children that are missing. Almost certainly passed away. And everybody's lying. That would have to be for the worst reason. Old Janie never leaves that RV. She's out there all the time. How would the dog have gotten outside of that just amazing fence you built there? Bob Vila? Was it meant to go after the kids, Janie, I wonder? Were you trying to scare them? The last time that Jack opens that pen. There's a lot of normalizing of their shitty behavior towards the children in all of this, and it's sad to listen to. Michelle, we know he got iced out, but still, where is Jack and Lily's father? We know he isn't. He's just not involved. He's choosing not to be involved because that's the type of person he is. We can't do anything about that. I'm sure at the core of it, Belinda Gray isn't very happy about it as well in this sense. Puts that much more stress on her to deal with things and the public. But it's not all for naught. Like there's a thing that it's not like we can't say he's not involved. He's been polygraph examined. He's been interviewed. He's involved in that sense, but he's not publicly engaged in the discourse going on out here. And you don't have to be. You shouldn't have to be in that sense. I'm pretty sure that we could guess what he's thinking. It's a shame that it didn't turn out different, but you can probably thank Malaya for that as well. She's the other part of that former relationship. Like, she's the ultimate victim in all of this at every point. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've got my own feelings about it, but she's silent right now, so there's only so much you can say. And she's not being very helpful. She's trying to maintain a facade that she engages her friends Shelby and Haley and the other one with the weird makeup. With the Dupering Delight. I actually think she's in this particular global news update from 3 weeks ago. They all make me sick, says Helicopter Grandma. Complaining. But don't forget, Janie did not want the RCP to go in the trailer because of the dog, but she had said earlier that she panned up the dog. Well, listen, that responding officer should be able to and could be able to know the answer that to the question that we want. Yeah, Cheryl, thank you, Mayflower. She would be able to recognize the fact that Fluffy wasn't the same dog as the one that she was there before she went into search on, what was that, Friday? Yeah, and you want to see a picture of Jordan? I got a picture of Jordan in the back. Jordan. You mean, oh, that's Derwood's, yeah, Derwood's son? Yeah, I got a picture of Jordan. He's such a handsome fella. It's surprising that he's related to Derwood. He's being pulled through this, manipulated. Off on stress leave too, crying all the time. His wife's left him, dog left him, living with his mom. Have you watched former Op Commissioner Chris Lewis interview? He does 2 separate ones. No. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to it. It's not like you're going to get anywhere. They're not giving you any key information. This is why we go live. This is why we talk about things. Sometimes it's okay to hear about and from the investigators, but it's all a bunch of public relations nonsense at this point. Telling you the same old shit. The reasons why they can't tell you, and it should be obvious. They remind you of that. Yo, Hilo, if I was taken to that place with my 2 children, I would say, see you. She never had a choice. JM loved to see MBM failing. I would be the best mother ever, and JM would have nothing on me. Oh, she'll find something. She'll find something. She's finding something when she says that about Malaya. Like, what is it you're exactly trying to communicate? Aside from you're trying to make Malaya look like a bad mother, she can do that all on her own, considering the situation. Why is it that this other adult that was there, that was supposed to be in a guardianship position over Jack and Lily on that property in the driveway, just feet away from where everything happened? How is it you know where everything happened if you don't know what happened? Janie, you want to answer that for us, honey baby? How is it you know all of this if you don't know what happened? Well, I don't know, just a clapping seal. It's a possibility. I mean, wouldn't you think that would be the reason you would have to move the dog off and try to fool the public in the first place? That the dog probably has something to do with it? I'm just saying and making it known, I guess, not that it's very important, just for the sake of history, that I believe Belinda in that sense. I believe Belinda when she says the dog was different. And when you go on to the next and combine it with this mystery of her being out there and what's relevant about this driveway that she's raking or potholes that she's digging, would most certainly have to do with evidence in that sense, considering there's 2 missing and presumed dead children. You'd be silly not to try like tie it together in that sense in your mind, but it makes a lot more sense at this point in time because we're not considering things in passing. We're looking at things in retrospect, which is why I'm speaking about it. Mike's speaking about it too, so it's on my mind. Mike was talking about it today. Go over and check out his premieres. He's doing 1-hour premieres every now and then. So every now and then, he's about 2-3 times a day right now. So make sure you go and check it out. What's up, Chelsea Gray? Yes, all the more reason for them not to enter Janie's trailer without her removing the dog. Tucker is not threatening. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's almost like the producer is sending us a message, like he's focusing on the dog in that sense. But I mean, it's relevant to her story from the perspective of portraying it to a greater audience. So who knows? So what? What could have possibly happened with this angry, nasty dog and the kids? Why are the kids like? If the dog went after the kids, first of all, it's very rare but not impossible that the dog is going to do anything to the death in that at that point. Like, very rare that dogs are vicious killers in that sense. Sure, they can get protective over food. They can get protective over their pack. But you can see some real messes that bull terriers have gotten themselves into with small children over the years. In other places. It'd be nice to know a little bit more. So it's interesting. It's good to bring up because the people in the community and individuals that know him need to start talking about it as well if there's a lot of truth to it. Because they would know the dog, you would think. Yeah, Chelsea Gray, you don't believe it was necessarily anything to do with the kids, perhaps hidden for another reason? Yeah, it's hard to put a finger on it right now. I mean, I'm just trying to talk ourselves through this. I mean, it's so hard to... There's more to this. I have a hard time thinking that the dog just took 2 kids out and that's it. We've got to find the dog and this is going to be solved. It's not that simple. I wonder what the other reason could be. Just simple. I don't know what the other reason would be. Everything is so bizarre when it comes to them. I wonder if Meadow was, socialized around the dog. Justin has young kids and a newborn. Would he have a vicious dog? Though I've heard there is a dog fighting in the area. I don't think it was a dog, but a dog named DM. Yeah, Daniel Martel. Oh yeah, I'm still thinking about that. It's just this all of this talk has me thinking in that sense. They got home and got out of a vehicle. Janie came out and the dog got through the gate. Lily screamed, provoking a dog attack, in your opinion, Robin says. And then what? And then what? That's when they turned murderous? They said, holy fuck, the dog's murderous, so we're going to turn murderous. So they then threw Jack back there to get his. And then they just going to dispose all together as a big old disposal party? I don't see it. I mean... A dog goes after a kid and you're around, everybody's going to know about it. It's going to be very difficult to ignore what's going on in that home. Everything is paper thin. It's impossible not to hear everybody's conversation or hear everything that goes on. So your first instinct isn't going to go, oh, right on. Finish him off there, Rufus. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, it's possible because there's so many lies. Like, it's for me to say it's true or not is just contradictory. I'm just trying to... I can't see it because even these evil son of a bitches would straight up call the ambulance and find reasons to put the blame back on Malaya anyway in that sense, right? Like, it takes a lot for the dog to actually take the life of the child or toddler. It's not a quick thing by any means. So even wounding the child to such a point where it eventually expired because it was mortally wounded, it'd be difficult to even swallow that in this situation. Something else happened in this sense. I still in my mind, it's more likely in my mind that Daniel used some sort of concoction and gave it to the kids on purpose to try to settle them down, to try to zombify them probably. Like, why wouldn't he? There's already that amount of substances around. And it helped him out. He was left to all of this intensive parenting. Yeah, Jen R., they would have some wounds if they tried to stop a dog attack. Well, I think that's what people are insinuating, that they never stopped it. I have a hard time believing that. Like, we're making the jump to her taking out soil. I'm just talking about it, right? It's a bit of a jump. There's some leaps in here. And I'm not at all trying to get you to think that that's what happened. I'm just trying to make it make sense. But there's more to it. The thing is that there's 2 children missing in past. We know that they didn't wander off. It's never-ending deception by way of the last 3 adults to see the kids. The weakest of those links, in my opinion, is going to be Malaya. She's separated from the other 2 at this point. That's one thing that justice has on its side. They had a math-making operation going on, they would have wanted to get rid of that before the police got there. I think that's what they're under the influence. Thursday night speculation. I don't think so, Mayflower. I don't think so. All of the things that they would have to manufacture it isn't illegal to have. All right? All of the precursors and chemicals and containers you can get at your local hardware store. You could just clean your kitchen and you would never know the fucking difference to begin with. You have to have a somewhat clean environment in order not to contaminate any of your batches, and that's not here. They had a math consuming operation for sure, Ilya, no doubt. For sure they're consumers. And we know Chance is their dealer in that sense. Annie, are you on crack, by the way? Annie Green Gables? It's probably Kent. I don't know who that is. They always leave the stupidest fucking messages. I swear. You're Robin, yes, more likely that D is the one my thoughts from the start, but scenarios run through my mind. Yeah, same here. No, helicopter grandmother. There's not any other people involved. Everybody who is involved are right here at the house. There's no need to bring in strangers that you don't know about and try to tie them into a situation that you're not clear about to help satisfy whatever it is you can't figure out. No, everything that has to do with Jack and Lily going missing is right here at the house between Malaya and Daniel and that stupid old bitch Janie. And if they were making any amounts of substance, they wouldn't be in such dire straits, okay? You wouldn't be in financial dire straits. So you want to talk about having a lab and producing this crystal. You do it on a personal level with a few boxes at one time, one batch, and it's good for your personal use, and there's still a certain cost that goes into that. But the labs that you're insinuating or imagining, you can produce a larger quantity of that, like out of 50-gallon drums or larger containers, something you can pressurize. But no, that's not happening here because these fucking idiots wouldn't be so poor in that sense. Now, they're major consumers of the substance. They're already hooked on that. Yeah, it doesn't sound Mayflower. I think you're confused. Math makers want to isolate what they call pseudoephedrine. All right, if you're not giving babies pseudoephedrine in baby formula, there's nothing in baby formula really, or maybe there is actually from Nestle. Who knows what chemical that they're trying to get out of it, but it's not. There's easy ways to make the math. Right? It has to do with kerosene or any sort of fuel, some pressure, some crushed up pseudoephedrine pills, which are things like hay fever pills, Sudafed and things like that. And I don't even have to share the nitrate. There's also a different chemical, a couple of them, but you can get them pretty much anywhere. First aid packs. That's just the dirty way of making it. Any of the real chemicals that you, like if you were to compare it to something like Breaking Bad, those chemicals aren't easy, especially in Canada, to obtain. So that's why you have to go to alternates. Well, I forgot the lithium from the lithium batteries in there too. Why the F is there a board missing on the bottom of that wall? You can see the studs. What the fuck? Well, that's just the little breezeway. That's the mudroom in the front. That's separate from the trailer. Replacing a board there. Sometimes you got to replace them. Looks like old chipboard. It's rotten. It's got to change it up a little bit. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there. Looks like a real project. Belinda, is that a deadbolt on the front inside door? Let me see here. I'm assuming that's the door that's broken. Is that a deadbolt on the outside? Looks... I don't know if you... I've got all kinds of filters on, so I'm looking from across the room. I see the door knob. The window. Well, you have a window on your front fucking door is beyond me. I guess my mom does too. I don't get that. Are you afraid of the bear coming in and fucking doing a better job at the woodwork than you guys? What do we got down here? A couple little fish tanks and a Tim Hortons cup. That's the smoking section out here, it looks like. Well, look at that. There's a plastic container that's large enough to hold a small child. I wonder how many of those he's got around. Let's have a look here. Let me just make this a little smaller. Yeah, I'm still open to what, like, there's a reason for there's a reason why it was brought up in the first place. And it probably does. I was just thinking that it's more likely that Janie was out there covering up all of the tire tracks and all of the fresh tire tracks from all of the activity coming and going throughout the May 1st into May 2nd. The Bradley Wong sighting traffic. And I mean, that's probably true as well. Because she also said mud. Tells me it was wet. If I'm to believe her.
Children. And when it happens, a lot of the time they're in shock. And Daniel was no different than that.
I was the head of the helicopters and head of the drones and stuff like that. Screaming as loud as I can. And just until my throat hurt. Running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in a military outfit said I could go back into the woods.
What a fucking idiot.
Running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in a military outfit said I could go back into the woods.
Yeah, because that's where you felt safest. You're out there hiding to begin with, you asshole. Can I go back in the woods and hide? Oh, don't make me come out here and face fucking justice. Oh, thank God I can go back and look forever and ever. Oh. Why the fuck do you keep on searching when you're not finding anything? If there's any truth to the story that you told the cops and the kids were just there, you would have obviously stopped much sooner, recollect and combine with the search team, with not the search team, but the responding officers, to for sure let them what happened, because there's something going on out there. Your kids you can't find your kids. Somebody must have them right away. Not telling you how you should or should have feel, but I'm telling you that Daniel's behavior throughout all of this screams of avoiding the police. Who the fuck calls the police and then takes off under the guise of searching for these a 4 and a 6-year-old kid who in spring who aren't even going to fucking wander into the bush, number one, because they for sure take the path of least resistance, which would be a roadside if they were to walk anywhere. But they still got to go through all of the rigmarole. What's old Danny boy doing out there all alone? Meeting Chance Lays, getting re-upped out there on the pipeline. How likely is it that they were left outside while D&M slept? Very unlikely, considering he's on methamphetamine. There's no sleeping to be had. You can guarantee that. If it is a deadbolt, why the wrench? He says he's got it. He says he's got it closed off because of a bear. Because it's broken to begin with. Probably pops open. Because all that aluminum, like the frame in those trailers aren't very great. Yeah, trail hiker, it's fake crying. Not that that matters much. He's a fucking spaz. How likely is it that they were left outside while D&M slept? I'd say unlikely. Although, I see what you're doing. They're trying to account for 2 deaths in this too. It's very difficult for us to say that because the majority of us don't want to go that morbid. But I'm pretty sure that, unfortunately, the truth is going to be a lot worse than we can imagine. There would have been handprints on the door handles trying to get back in. Well, it's easily cleanable. Why they said they would close the door behind them. Well, first of all, that door's probably never going to lock in the first place. They're not locking the door out there in the middle of nowhere. especially these guys. Especially when you have Janie out there in the fucking cold RV that needs to come out sometimes and take a dump. Maybe she's got a midnight emergency. Maybe she's got to wipe her hands off from the crap because she ran out of toilet paper out there for her 5-gallon pail. She'll be in there and out all of the time, without a doubt. She would snap if there was a little wooden stick there to keep that door closed. That's usually what you do when you go away. Like you put that sliding door shut and then you have a little stick in beside it so somebody from the outside can't jimmy it open and that door slip open. That's fairly common. The door is so shitty, it doesn't have to be. It's just maybe if the rollers are cocking, maybe it doesn't lock properly. But whether or not it makes a noise or not is such a ridiculous conversation that they brought up to begin with. First of all, yeah, it does make a noise, you stunt cunt. Excuse my language. Now, what do you want to debate next? Do you want to debate how many decibels it is and whether or not these individuals would have recognized it? Just another excuse to talk about the bull crap victim blaming portion of all of this, where you're having and convincing everybody that Jack and Lily voluntarily left and you can't find them. That's the biggest load of garbage in all of this. You're the idiots that make this door an issue, nobody else. If the kids were really missing that way, you wouldn't be focused on it, for sure. They didn't leave. Could you imagine this asshole going around in front of a bunch of cameras telling you about the pink boots for Lily and blue boots for Jack? I know that they took their boots. No, you didn't. You grabbed their boots. And that's how you remember them. What are you saying, Chelsea? You would still love to know what water? Oh, what water he was running up to his waist in? That would be fantastic. That was probably discussed with the investigators. Why don't you draw us a nice little map there, fun boy? Where did you go exactly? If it's deadbolt, why the wrench? Well, I'm thinking that the wrench or something like that, you have to need another object in order to tie through a loop to kind of secure it shut to something. I'm assuming that that's what he's talking about, where there's a wrench or something he's got up there fixed to prevent that door from functioning. He said the water he was running through up to his waist was a marsh to the left of the trailer, Chelsea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Was that just for effect then? The little marsh up at the end of that logging road behind the property? Down on his way to the pipeline trail? Well, see, even Mike Demand got me thinking. I got sidetracked in my mind. Because just think of the time frame between what Janie says happened to her that morning. To her. She's up at 7 to feed the chickens. The chickens. And then it's 8:30 or 8:48 and Ron calls. There's like an hour and a quarter, hour and a half between the scratch that you go out and pour the chickens, which is 30 seconds, and the time Ron calls. There's a lot of time that goes unaccounted for between there. So why is it that she's pointed out, I guess just for the sake of having certain events take place during this morning? But there's more that happened, my point is. That's a hole. A big hole, Janie. Just when it all happened, just when you were falling asleep and drifting in and out of sleep after being up at 7 a.m. to feed the chickens. Come on. No, he wouldn't have gotten hypothermia. He'd just be fucking cold. He's not immersed. He's just got wet pants on. Wish those jeans would fucking shrink so much that they would cut your circulation off. That'd be fantastic. Nothing's going to happen to him. Especially a man. Helicopter Grandma, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you, darling. Michelle, we also know Danny likes to hide out in the bathroom, so it's bathrooms and woods for Danny. That's a preferred spots to getting high, yeah. The woods sounds a lot nicer. For Don Wells, it was his sheds, right? He'd escape for his little scared boy not to deal. I don't like to compare the two. But yeah, they both have substance abuse issues, no doubt. So do a lot of people. Heather173, good to see you. Was too cold for anything. I live here. Really crappy Friday AM, crappy Thursday night. Yeah, you can just go back and see what the temperatures got down to. It's actually not that bad, but cold enough for hypothermia in children outside for any extended period of time. It would be trouble, but I don't know. Right now, at minus 20, it would be for sure death. But around the freezing mark, yeah, it'd be getting that way. It'd just take a little longer. But, like, first of all, the children would have had to have gotten out in the first place. They didn't get out on their own. They didn't expire just outside the door. And when Danny came to get a snack out of the cupboard, there was 2 dead kids out on the back patio. No, although it might come up in court as a defense. But listen, it has to be something that's going to necessitate these child unalivers. There's something that happened from their very own hands that would necessitate the cover-up and the lie and the conspiracy, because they are not going down for this. And that doesn't occur to a person. You don't reach out and choose to commit a felony for something that was out of your control, an accident in that sense. This was purposeful, it was vicious, and it was violent. And it happened to 2 children. Or I could be completely wrong, and Daniel wanted to be some sort of cocktail waitress and was sedating the kids with some sort of substance. And that would account for them both overdosing. And him being responsible for providing the substances that they expired on, in that sense. Now, that must have been a crazy, if that's true, then that would have been one hell of a crazy experiment gone awry. Was it his first time doing it? Why did he do it? And what went wrong this time? If it was something that you had been doing up to that point, how did your measurements get so askew that they led to their deaths? So I don't even believe that necessarily. But I mean, if you're thinking about what would account for it's difficult for us, right? It's difficult for us on the outside to imagine all of the different ways. I'm just thinking of things that would have been common in this. I didn't expect, for example, the Trezell West and the Ornon Orson West situation to turn out and that was the answer. Like, I guess how are we ever going to know the truth when it was withheld from us? We're not really going to know the truth. We can just know enough about what had happened based off what the children said. And we weren't privy to any of that information. And it was difficult for us to picture the information that they found out about those children, is what I'm saying. They were including and having the children carry out violent acts as a way of keeping them in line in that sense. With Jacqueline, here's a 30-year-old woman, and she's got all kinds of kids, and the majority of them are foster. And of course, she's doing it for the money in that sense. They had no emotional bond to these children. They were just providing a bed and living off the money that the government provided them and the stipends for doing so. Welcome to my life. Robin, also we know how hysterical Janie gets over her boys. So maybe Ron knew. She was worried on pins and needles that morning waiting for the call. I don't know about that. I do know that she's lying. But what is she hiding? Heather, I think we know a little bit more at 9 months than we did before. I think we've unfortunately gotten to a fairly solid picture about what's likely happened here. Lori, there's nothing solid here. What's solid is the levels of deception, you fools. What does that tell you? That's the only solid lead in all of this, is the fact that these assholes don't want to answer a fucking question. Doesn't that tell you something? What? Are you on fucking crack, Wolfie? Janie using the rake, in my opinion, was the boot prints. There was one print left. What? No, you're still stuck in believing what all of these fucking idiots are saying to you. What? How the fuck would you even pull that? As though the kids just walked over there? Don't even have to pull from that, Wolfie. Janie using the rake was the boot prints. What would it fucking matter? This is where the kids lived. There should be footprints and boot prints all over the show. Them pulling a boot print in the moment is trying to compare old from new to try to pick out what direction the kids voluntarily left the house, which we don't believe went. The fact that there's just one boot print in amongst all of the freshly raked gravel should be a sign that it got imprinted there after the gravel was raked. Not raked around. That's a waste for your mind to even go there. But I'm not going to come down too hard on you. These fucking Red Bulls making me grumpy. She hears everything in that trailer exactly, you know. We're not trying to pull what's true and what's not from the things that they say. We know that they're being purposefully obtuse. They're talking around each and every point. The things that they say and introduce to us do mean something, but in a double entendre sort of way, a double meaning. Well, if it's true that Daniel was in the car with Jack and Lily when MBM was doing 6 weeks of laundry at Patty's, how many hours would that take? There's no way in hell that a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old... First of all, that's kind of a bullshit story to begin with. They're probably constantly fighting, and she's setting up to leave. All of the clothes that are already packed in those garbage bags are packed to go to a different place, I would expect. Possibly. I'm not saying, I don't want to tell you that you're wrong and I'm right here. But I mean, Patty didn't know the last time she saw them. So you're traveling around with all of these clothes that were just out at Patty's to get washed. It makes no sense for them to pile up clothes for that long in the first place. Not saying that they didn't. Maybe they did and they're fucking lazy. Who knows? You imagine all of those garbage bags filled with laundry? Like, why don't you take it easy on yourself and give yourself a laundry day? They don't go through that many clothes. Their washing machine's out in the front lawn. Can't you run an extension cord to it, freak? Could have used the washer spinner out in Janie's RV. Yeah, there's something with the stories. That all comes from the paperwork in that sense. That just comes from the story that she told the responding officer for the report. When they cross-referenced it with Patty, she didn't know when the fuck was the last time that she saw Malaya and Daniel was, let alone that day for, a full day of laundry. Malaya wanted to play it as though she just got back from Patty's doing laundry, and that was to account for a portion of her timeline. Well, that's all up in the air. That was unverifiable for us. So keep your mind open. It wasn't a storyline that rang true. It wasn't corroborated by Patty. In fact, it was the opposite. What's up, Ginger's mom? All we have heard is one conflicting story after another. Everything we've been told by those that are talking are lies and self-preservation, right? Which should be a strong indicator. Yeah, Michelle's Red Bull is so bad for you. That's why I got the small can. Could have got the big can. And it's expensive as all, you know what. But I like it because I get chatty on it. When I sit around here not talking to anybody all day, sometimes you need some motivation. Then when you can't shut me up. The Red Bull raging, right? I've come accustomed to it, though. I don't rage so much anymore over it like I used to. Now I just get chatty Cathy. There was boot prints everywhere from the children on the side of the hill. I think the driveway was worked on for another reason, says Chelsea. Right. Yeah, it was. I think so, too. Like, it's going to be pretty hard for Janie not to hear each and every little sound, especially in the middle of the country, where things are just so quiet to begin with. You hear everything. Everything stands out. Especially the doors opening and closing, gates, animals out the back. You could hear the chickens. You could hear the wind blow. Listen, just go and sit in your old junky car. Granted, when all of your weather seals and everything, like in a brand new car, yeah, you can isolate out sound, no problem. But I'm not saying that the weather stripping in this old RV is even remotely there in the first place. Listen, it's so thin. It's just a sheet of aluminum between you and the outside world. You're essentially out there. You're out there in the elements. You're going to hear everything. And Mike's right. Janie hates this script. But she thinks that that's working for her in all of this. All of her truth has to do with what it was she was doing at that moment in time or any moment in time, like it's already a preemptive defense as opposed to anything focused on the children. Now, we reiterate that time and time again, but it goes far beyond that. That says so much. Yeah, it is cold down in Texas, Taze. Yeah, it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit down there. I heard you guys are the same. They're talking about how engineered this ice storm is across the U.S. Go check out Jimmy Dore's upload, Taze. Yeah, Patty didn't confirm if she saw the children on that Wednesday. I'd have to go back and check, Ilya. Lori, you're saying you meant the police need to go harder on them under pressure, people crack. Yeah, Lori, just to tell you, though, that's going to happen. You don't play that game beforehand. Well, you can if you have enough evidence. But at this point in time, they're still gathering all of the evidence. There will be that point in time when they go harder and they have things that you know as an investigator that old Daniel and Malaya thought they were the only ones that knew. And you play with them. You looked at the documents and there were a lot of things I do not believe. Hey, Helicopter Grandma. They didn't give much of a timeline. They really relied on the inability to remember anything in the moment. They had to, over the next few weeks, several interviews, pull out some sort of timeline and help them through based off of their Google location maps and put something together. They still have not filled in all of the blanks in that sense. Belinda, Patty was smart enough to get a one-bedroom apartment after the fact? Or when was this? Or she lives in a one-bedroom apartment and that's where everybody was living? Or she moved out, got a one-bedroom apartment and doesn't have any room to let anybody move back in with her, is what you're saying. Where did you go? You need stronger glasses, Wolfie? That's what you've been trying to say. It was to cover up their tracks, tire tracks, boot prints, all the oil stain from one of the cars. Yeah, yeah. To cover up the traffic. That would lead investigators to recognize in real time that if you guys were sleeping, there sure was a lot of traffic. It would lead them to be able to ask questions that they didn't want to necessarily answer in the moment. You're right, Ilya. The raking was shoveling before it became raking. If I had to wait 6 weeks to do laundry for 5, I would be in a depression from just that alone. Why not get on FB, buy one? People give washers away. Yeah, I know, Michelle. You can get a washer for dirt cheap. Sometimes you get good washers. The only thing to a washer is the timer. Everything else is always still going to work. Yeah, but it's an excuse for them to go over and hit up Patty for money in that sense, too. There's a codependency there, probably. A reason to visit. But 6 bags of laundry. 6 bags of kids' clothes. We know Stupid here doesn't have many clothes. 6 bags of kids' clothes. What the fuck?
I felt like it was important to ask Mr. Martel if he had anything to do with the disappearance of Lily and Jack. I asked it outright.
I 100% did not. And I will hold that till my last day on this planet.
Well, that's not a reliable denial. That's just your game plan. That was easy. Oh, fuck. She sold her house and got an apartment, Belinda's saying. Well, that's interesting. Good for her. Good for her. She closed that option at this point in time. 100%, absolutely 100% did not. And I'll be holding that until my last day on this planet. It's going to be sooner than you think, you little bitch. He sees that coming too. There's another death reference. This is way back on May 15th, by the way. It's not recent by any means. Did Patty not sell her house and go into the apartment helicopter ground? Money spent by MBM and DM? Did Patty not sell her house? You confused me with that question. If he was deep in the rugs, he was probably out scoping for sure. Guys, Ilya, that's an extension cord through the window, not a garden hose. Usually have water hookups on the outside of the RV. Why would you be running? She's got an extension. She's just got a thicker extension cord, it looks like. I guess it could be a water hose. I haven't looked at it closely, but don't think it's water. It's not going to be... You're going to have to keep that thing fucking flowing constantly. No, there is no running water out in the RV. And by putting a water or hose through the window doesn't mean you have running water in the RV. You've got a fucking hose. Okay? Yeah, helicopter grandma. I just read that from Belinda. How much of a piece of shite do you have to be to steal from Patty? Well, Norbeaster. I think you have your answers are on the screen. I got a full-size washer out of your apartment for $100 lately used. Look like brand new, running 4 years now. Yeah. Yeah, they're cheap. Yeah, there you go. Here's your answer right here. Chelsea Gray, 86. The driveway was filled with prints everywhere when I arrived. All types. I assume from the steady flow of people and cars. Clear children's prints on the bank. So it's wet ground in the spring. I would have to say that Janie was out there covering up all of the activity from the night before. That's probably... Now, the question is that the only answer? Is there more to it than that? Is it more than just the tire traffic and that? Patriot Girl, Daniel will never tell. He'll be caught. Fuck, he'll be spilling the beans. They're going to... Who knows how this is going to play out? But when the shit hits the fan for them... Okay, out of my cupboards, please. What the hell did you grab? Oh yeah, go right ahead then. Cucumbers, eh? When the shit hits the fan in the interview room... It's going to, I believe, come by way of Malaya. As soon as they can verify the contradictions through Malaya and open them up an accurate area to question, as in ask these people the right questions, they're not going to be able to leave. They're not going to want to give the answers to all of that. Oh, Shannon, God bless you, darling. Thank you very much for that super sticker. Oh, 20 Aussie dollars. I appreciate that. Oh, I skipped one. Janie's a Timu mama. Danny looks like an ashtray. Justice is coming for this Carney family. There you guys go judging again. There's somebody for everybody out there. Even in Pictou County. Can you imagine? You couldn't even make a good living being a prostitute in Pictou County. There's not that many people. These morons are one banjo away from being a Deliverance reboot. Okay, out of my freezer. Out. 1 second, please. These morons are one banjo away. I read that. Chelsea, interesting that scent dogs didn't hit on those. What are you thinking the scent dogs are going to hit on? Their imprint, their scent print fades over time, so you can still have a boot print there. And after, especially on in the spring, have moisture draw it over, and there's not going to be as much or any scent there, and the print would still remain. The Patriot Girl, the bus comes and picks them up every day at the end of the driveway. So I don't even give a shit about the scent dogs, what the fuck they're doing. We know none of this bullshit happened. The kids did not wander away. Not even on the cards. In the cards, I should say. But yeah, ideally, but you have to do some interpretation of what that means. The kids didn't walk out the door on their own down to the end of the driveway and get picked up by somebody else. Question is, did they make it home? Did they make it home Thursday? See, they don't want to talk about anything regarding their conflict that they were having at all. The ongoing conflict, Malaya moving on up out of the house. Something escalated between those two during all of this time they had to spend together. The kids weren't in school. Dan knows it's over. It's escalating. He's getting more comfortable and insulting her, throwing hands. Look at, he's holding her down. There's conflict between them. They're not fixing, reconciling. It's not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse. She's talking to Cindy and Patty on the phone all about their relationships. It's driving Daniel up the wall because he wants to be the one probably to sort out her problems for her. But he's the problem. Do you know what that problem is, Danny? You're a fucking tweaking liar, dude. Okay? You've been tweaking and lying and treating her like shit for all of this fucking time. She's gotten sick of you. The point of no return is past. And Daniel doesn't fucking like that whatsoever. You mix that with his inability to control his emotions while under the influence, and he's getting high all the time. He went and took it out on the kids. He took something out on the children to hurt Malaya in the moment. He probably wish he did it differently, I would expect at this point in time. But these people have no fucking problem lying at any one point in time in an attempt to save themselves. And it's a feeble attempt. Helicopter grandma. I think, what are you talking about? What's getting out of hand? You mean whatever emotions, their conflict, you mean? Carp Diem, good day. Welcome. This conflict wasn't resolving itself, it was escalating. The kids were already being treated like shit. Right, Ilya. The document said Cindy would have seen them on video chat. Not she did see them. Exactly. Malaya said that she would have seen them on video chat. That's coming from Malaya, a liar, a known liar in this circumstance. And it was unverified. Yet you're recalling that correctly, girl. The document said... Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Julie, I assume the police can't even prove the kids were there the night before. I think they kind of insinuate that. They said, Lori, the last time that they can verify the kid's alive is on CCTV. Everything else is unverifiable to them at the time of investigating. They need further investigating. It requires further information. Not that they're giving up. That's the point of getting all of this signed off. Could have gotten into the rugs in the car on the way home. No, I think it's too much of your imagination there. Listen, even if they did, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to die as soon as they touch the substance? People ingest the substance all the time. Kids don't just go and grab an unknown substance and just shove it down their throat and eat it until death. I wouldn't ever say the kids themselves got into any substances. I would say that they were given the substances before I'd say anything. Oh, it was an accident. They just got into the substances like you do and overdosed. One, if you're of that ilk, you don't know anything about drugs or substances. It's just your imagination. Again, it's painting a situation where you could put the blame onto somebody else rather than go full-fledged fucking crazy and commit even more felonies after the fact so you don't have to be held to account in the court of law. You don't risk going for a life in prison when, you could have got off with a misdemeanor. Extreme example, but in your opinion, Jack and Lily unalived Thursday night, early hours into Friday, right? And it was right after. So just before midnight when thereabouts, where Bradley Wong noted that the traffic began, remember, between the hours of 12 and 4, 12 and 5? Just before then. Maybe an hour, the 11 o'clock hour, the 10 o'clock hour. Shouldn't kids be in bed and sleeping at that point in time? You'd think so. But again, they track the kids all over Hell's Half Acre. Like, what the fuck are you doing out grocery shopping at 8 o'clock at night at a Walmart with the kids when, one, you don't fucking work, you don't do anything else except get high. So what is it that you're out and about for at 8 o'clock at a Walmart? To me, that doesn't make any fucking sense. They're out there scoring, or they're getting another hit. That's crackhead fucking logic that they bring. There's no reason to have your kids out and at a Walmart grocery shopping on a school night when they're supposed to be, one, sick. So there's other shit going on. They are out and about, not prioritizing the needs of the children, and that's typical. Whatever was going on was for Dan and Malaya, whatever it was. You get your groceries during the day. I know it sounds silly, but I'm saying in this circumstance, with these individuals, with kids,
so if you go to Google Maps, you will find the piece of land between my ex's, which is Daniel and Justin's father, and my brother's. And that would be on the Lansdowne Road, not the Lansdowne Station Road. Repeat, the Lansdowne Road. And to correct Haley and whoever else, the piece of blanket was found on the Lansdowne Road, not the Lansdowne Station Road. I cannot answer questions about that blanket because I was not here when it was supposed to be found.
Shut your mouth for a second. Where did I just read that? Who was that, Lori? If what Haley said is true, then Malaya knew about the rugs. Malaya knows about the rugs, Lori Green. Especially that it was said and mentioned by her in that message to Belinda about knowing about it the night before she went in to be induced with Meadow. That's when she knew or found out, she says, Daniel was an addict in that sense. That's how she introduced it to the situation. Now, whether that's true and she didn't know about it before that, or she did, hard to say. That would tell you that Daniel was keeping it on the DL. He was keeping it away from her. I could believe that. You know, whether or not she's being 100% accurate, it would indicate that Daniel wasn't being very forthcoming with her about the type of individual that he was and what he was doing. But now that she was going in to have his baby, he felt comfortable enough in the control that he had over her that it was out in the open. That his drug use was out in the open. I wonder what she said. I'd love to hear that entire scenario, that entire story. That would be an interesting one. Of course, what Haley said was true. She expressed her experience. I believe Haley over believing anybody else in this circumstance. We believe Haley because she provides a reliable story in that sense as to her experience on the day that she stopped by. What? I'm not even interested in talking about that. You just saw a video that perhaps actually there was a party and that somebody handed the kids off. That sounds like Derwood shit to me. And what the fuck does a party mean over at this shithole? They're partying every fucking night. He's high nonstop. I'm not even You don't need to introduce anything else. That's like pretending. That's just not being satisfied with the information that's already available to you. In my opinion. That the kids were possibly handed off, that somebody handed off the kids the night before at the party. Yeah. No. That almost pisses me off a bit listening to that.
Hearing where she said it was, I'm correcting her that it was.
Of course they're not trafficked. Fuck. What more examples does a person fucking need? Okay, you can't get any more red flag than this. Your risk factor's through the fucking roof, yet people want to ignore all of the fucking obvious signs and go and reach for something that's completely fantasy.
The Lansdowne Road. The only time that I was here to have any part of the blanket was when the cops, RCMP, came here and asked about the blanket to Daniel. Daniel and Justin did go to the garbage and showed the RCMP officers the rest of the blanket. And I can vouch for the blanket being put in the garbage because I seen the day that Daniel put it in the garbage because I told him not to bag it too heavy. So Daniel did put the blanket in the garbage.
There's another situation where stupid here misrepresented and old Janie's contradicting him at the same time, right? Yeah, Lori Green, don't come to me with a yeah, but. When you come to me like that, you're contradicting, or you're trying to contradict or make it sound like I'm saying something. No, that's TFU. I'm not looking for that. They all needed to be dragged and questioned at the same time. Yeah, you got that, Ilya. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Even Derwood said out loud what Daniel is capable of. What's that, Ginger? Bonnie. You're a wound up Bonnie.
I appreciate you guys asking me if there's anything that I need. No, there's not. The only thing that I need is people to stop the rumors and accusations because it's not helping anything.
The only thing that she needs is for you guys to stop coming in here and accusing Janie of something. Please, it doesn't help matters. I couldn't even fathom fucking saying that ever. Oh, woe is me. God, my feelings are just so hurt because all I can do is just keep reading all of these things people are saying about me. Well, and your answer is to turn around and complain to the world about it. What? Man, oh man. Could you fucking believe that, Seal? Yes, I know, the audacity. They do that nonstop like it's actually something. Oh, we just need all of these people to stop suspecting us. Well, yeah, in order to get away, I guess it would be nicer. It would be easier on your I guess, nightly sleeps. But it's not everybody else's problem that you're fucking guilty. Trying to get away with a double murder here. Do you guys mind? Janie has to watch what old Danny boy puts in the garbage. Don't make it too heavy, LOL. Wouldn't a grown man know that? Well, this is Dan you're talking about. Like, the specificity and the accurate depiction of events that are so vivid to her about something that's so trivial, like putting something in the garbage in light of Jack and Lily missing and having holes all over the place in her stories up to this point are quite a contrast. But there's a few examples like that with her. The fact that she thinks that she's being convincing is loosely comical. How dare the world accuse and presume that they're responsible? Yeah, could you believe it? There's not one drop of guilt, shame, sadness, confusion. See, when you're confused about something, you know exactly what it is that you're confused about and what you don't know. Therefore, that would be primarily the things that you would be conversing of should this have been a legitimate scenario. But they're talking about each and every detail in ways that just are so bizarre. Anything but talking about what really happened. What did you do last night? I don't remember. Oh, I don't know. I don't keep track of time. It's not for me. What else was in that garbage? But that blanket was just another area where Daniel publicly was recorded misrepresenting it, talking about it all different ways. And Janie talks about it like it was a real family event. She's talking about it in a way where Daniel would remember it and would not have misrepresented it, said he didn't know what it was, as opposed, and then changing it down the line and recognizing the blanket. But it's just minuscule at this point in time because none of them want to talk about its relevance. Now, looking at it now in hindsight, I believe that it has more to do with him trying to make it look like there's a natural reason that there's reason to be down there near the pipeline, because the blanket was found in the tree not too far away from the entrance. So there was a reason to be looking in that direction. Therefore, the cops are likely to be less suspicious of Daniel avoiding them with a blanket that might be tied to them, and not to mention another boot print 500 fucking meters back, in the middle of this field. Well, that is some fucking luck, I'd say. Can you believe it? Guys, we found another track way out here in the randomness, just in the middle of fucking nowhere, of all of the places to be. Here's a boot print. I think I'm onto something. Well, think about that. So he's eager to introduce how far away another boot print could be, therefore justifying all of this area and time to be out searching in. But yet the fucking guy somehow managed to find a boot print in the middle of nowhere out of all of the places. There's a boot print that old Danny found, I'm sure, or one of his friends. And you're sure that it's Lily's. It has relevance to this situation. Are you fucking kidding me? It looks even more suspicious. It's not an example of a 6 and a 4-year-old running off somewhere, especially over 2 miles, 2.5 miles away. Good luck. Oh, there must have been a sale on at the Dunkin' Donuts. Maybe the kids were going to get a coffee or something. Yeah. Crime Science. Excuse me, Crime Science. Good to see you. Thank you. My heaven's sakes. Shannon, in my opinion, Jack and Lily ABUSED and neglected more than what has so far been said. Yeah, you have a right to think that way. You wouldn't be wrong to wonder. Yeah, NYC Boomer, I'm with you. But it would make sense because there's no reason for them to be out there in the first place. Not saying that the kids couldn't wander or get that far. You're talking that particular day with these particular kids. No. What would possess them to do that? and get that far in the first place and still not be anywhere around to be found? Was he making it look to be like somebody stopped by in the four-wheeler and strapped them to the front and the back of it, tied them down, and drove off? He was eager to be and make it look like he was actually trying to search for the kids and he was close to finding them. Could you even imagine that this stupid son of a bitch is telling you that he heard Lily, but the helicopter drowned out her screams. He was sure he heard Lily. Like, talk about planting false hope with people in that moment. It's in the moment. He's going and doing too much. In the cold, no coats. Where's Jack's pull-up? Danny brings it up. Well, I'm sure he doesn't have his pull-up. It'll be filled by now. I hope the kids are warm. Pretty sure that they're not going to be fucking warm. If they did indeed walk away. But they did everything in their power to keep us in that state of mind for as long as possible in the first 6 weeks of this situation. Till it became too unbearable. They're so sure about what had happened, and Janie needed to have the CBC come over and show them exactly where the this happened. It happened. The it and the this that she never likes to describe or commit to linguistically. The it and the this that you're supposed to assume. Too sick to go to school, but not a doctor, but well enough to take them to the mall. Such BS, exactly. You spent all that time dragging them around the city all day for 2 days. Why? Did it really take both of you? Did you have to take Malaya to her appointment? Not really. Like, this dynamic between them is just fucking bizarre. They're anything but a happy family in that sense. Oh, Daniel insists that he's got to be around her at all times because she gets overwhelmed with the kids. Does anybody believe that? Like, that's actually a thing. Get the fuck out of here. And especially for this idiot, this asshole who's he's not a great human being, but he's not an engaging father in that sense, who's high on the mathematics, a dissociative substance. Again, he's doing too much. Oh, I track my girlfriend's whereabouts just because we love each other. It's for trust. Like trust comes on an app on your phone. For him, it does. It's the Google Find My Phone app. The Google Locations. The Trust Me app. Oh, trust me, I left my phone at home. He's not a big... He think about that. He never takes his phone, doesn't appreciate the in an emergency situation... You're out there searching, so you say, but you don't take your phone with you in order to communicate with anybody else. Well, how effective do you think you're going to be? Thank God it wasn't a real emergency. But he contradicts himself too, because he wants to use the excuse that he doesn't really bother with his phone much, which is just a out and out lie, because he tracks Malaya. No, you use your phone. All the time. I'd love to search his phone. I would love to search his phone. To dig out all those old photos of all the cock shots. Just dox the fuck out of them all over the internet. Something may have happened when he turned the lights on if the kids were there. You know what we're talking about. He couldn't let her out of his sight once he had her new license plate. What does that have to do with anything, Sandra? You get a temporary sticker for your windshield, right? When you first get a car or whatever you need. In my opinion, it's clear 2 kids unalived and adults that don't want to go to prison. Yeah, Shannon. That's the one thing that we do believe, that they don't want to go to prison for this. That's evident. Father had to bring the kids with them because they wouldn't leave the children with the Academy Award-winning Janie. That's a great observation, Vivalda. Is that the only reason? Well, yeah, I would think so. This is Daniel's problem. He's an adult now. He can look after his own problems. You don't need me as... I'm already giving you a free place to stay. Now you want me to babysit too? Yeah, I don't think... You think Janie's going to go for that? I don't think so. She's probably got a Rolodex of excuses. I'm busy. I'm renovating the RV. Listen, she is not fucking happy to be out there in the RV to begin with. No way. No way is she happy. It's something that you're going to hear about at every turn. Well, Michelle, it's interesting to me in that moment that Malaya was speaking almost in a philosophical sense, trying to generalize it and talk as though it was at a wake as opposed to an emergency situation. Here's the pertinent information, and here's where my mind is right now. She's talking about how everybody's filled with a certain emotion and this and that. And they don't know what happened? Let's figure that one out. We're not the type of people. She didn't even know what the fuck she wanted to say. She never believed the words that were coming out of her mouth. She always had to stop herself, stumble over her words, stutter, insert something in the middle of her sentences about telling you how they're not the types of people, for example, and then go on to tell you that they were the types because they're drifting in and out of sleep according to your story, but then you follow and say that you're not the types. So which one fucking is it? Daniel left the phone, so he says, when searching, so GPS can't track him, but said he used a light in the culverts and dirt roads. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Danny, why would you go and search, you say, in every culvert? See, that would tell me that you're looking for dead kids. That somebody has stuffed them in a culvert. Is that what happens to kids when they disappear? They end up in culverts? What would make you say culvert to begin with? He's just always looking for that justification. He's normalizing himself being out there searching with no real clear path as to where or why he's searching where he is. Especially consider you just saw the kids or just heard the kids not too long ago. They can't be that far. If you're this far, something else has happened. Well, luckily, the RCMP are just back at your house. Why don't you go talk to them? Oh, I don't think so. No, this is Malaya's problem. In my mind, they were putting this all in Malaya on that Friday. Like they were putting this on Malaya, then getting the hell out of Dodge in that sense. She let Malaya do all of the communicating and the dealing with people. She was made because these were her kids. Why, you know what I mean? Not that it was right, but it was just what was going on. They didn't want to be around the RCMP. They didn't want to have to get caught up that early in all of the bullshit that they were going to eventually have to come out with. It's better that Malaya portray the story and Danny and Janie just come along after the fact and play along and pretend that they're disgruntled and so, moved with emotion. They're going to look for these kids for the rest of time until they find them. Well, at some point, you've got to stop. At some point, you've got to start. People who don't know any better take that and don't recognize that it's just Daniel walking around out there with no clear direction. But yet, magically, they came across a fucking boot print in some random fucking area. They didn't say that it had anything to do with Lily. They just said it looked like a child's boot print. They made it out to look like it was something, potentially. And she's so concerned with everybody being notified that she's lost her kids. That would be the last fucking thing on your mind. How about where the hell is Jack and Lily? I'm going out there to find them. Well, I can't go because I've got to carry Meadow on my hip. Danny makes me. She probably tapes Meadow to her because it's a shield against what Danny's going to fucking do to her. This guy is off his frickin' rocker. A figures, Lori. You're going to give that... No, how about they meet the criteria of an Amber Alert? How about that? Oh, for sure, Robin. She definitely will be an accessory after the fact. They'll all be with this cockamamie story.
It is just making everybody's life miserable. And it's also hurting the children of all these rumors. And they got to stop. So I'm here to tell you the truth on my side of what I have seen and what I have heard. I've been telling everybody from the start of this, I had no involvement in the disappearance of Jack and Lily. I gave the investigators the same story that I'm telling you guys. I did not have anything to do with what Malaya, what if Daniel has said or done.
Well, isn't that an interesting little trailer? Janie says that she doesn't have anything to do with what Malaya or Daniel has done. Did I just hear that right? Oh my God. Well, there she goes again. She didn't have anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. Well, okay, but you do have everything to do with providing and corroborating a false alibi. That would make you an accessory after the fact, and much, much more. Tampering with evidence. Holy fuck, they're going to throw the book at you, you old bag. But that's a slip. She doesn't have anything to do with whatever it was that Daniel and Malaya got into. Whatever they did is their business. I'm not responsible for what it is that they have done. That's what she's saying. Maybe you're only saying one part if what you wrote. Are you drinking wine tonight? You're on... Lori, you got to be drinking, girl. I don't even know what you're making. You're posting, but you're not making any sense. Or I'm not reading it right. I don't think it's me. I don't seem to have any problems with other people. She has the knowledge and is going to prison too. Absolutely, Robin. She has all kinds of knowledge. She has so much knowledge that she told you that she doesn't know anything. At what point did this become a disappearance to all of these individuals? It's always been a disappearance. You know, there's no real clear trigger of an event that would indicate the need to call the RCMP. That's missing from this whole story. That's Malaya's instinct, right? Remember? Old fucking Mama Bear? Old Mom of the Year, Malaya Brooks, had some instinct and applied it to call to the RCMP. It makes absolutely no sense because you never searched yourself. More like you were told to call the RCMP. That was as per you laid out in your rough plan. That's kind of developed on its own, I would expect. Something happened. They need to get rid of the bodies and the evidence. And they were going to say that the kids just wandered away and let the cards fall where they may and deny everything. So what happened? Yeah, she never had any of the motherly instincts to protect her children, Edwards says. You're absolutely right. She didn't have the motherly instinct to clean up after herself. Didn't have the motherly instinct to send the kids to school, cook for the kids. To prevent any accidents from happening. Yeah, she pisses me right off. That pisses me right off. And I'm pissed off at her for forcing Haley through this, and her new fucking friend, Haley's whatever, sister, brother, whatever the hell you're supposed to be. You guys are walking around, rubbing her back, believing her fucking nonsense without asking any questions in all of this. You don't care if she's guilty or not. That's what that tells me. You don't care what happened to Jack and Lily as long as Malaya, your new ticket to attention, is okay. There's no fucking way that Malaya is going to be walking around putting up missing posters around. And still trying to tell you that Jack and Lily walked out of that RV. How dare you? You have no limits? You have no shame, you two? You're going to go and enable her throughout all of this? You have... at least Haley has some sense to recognize, but she still goes through it. But I was really disappointed to hear her say that they were out. Because if you're going out hanging up missing posters, you're buying the kids walked away on their own story in that sense. You have no limits. Shannon, in your opinion, even when the remains are found, they'll lie and tell their BS stories? Oh, of course. Listen, don't expect them to be telling anybody the truth. Or tell anybody what had happened. It's not looking good for getting any real answers out of them in that sense. Like, the more time goes by, the worse it gets. Like, they're normalizing and justifying the reasoning why there's no information as though that's actually a thing. No, the only reason that there is no information is that you won't give any information. That's the only reason that there's no information on the timeline, you fucking idiots. You could have made it in a grilled cheese sandwich, for crying out loud, but you won't. You could have come up with wiping your ass, taking a shit, trimming your toenails, watching Jerry Springer. You could have come up with all kinds of things to fill in here, there, and everywhere. But the fact is, you're too fucking lazy, and you're going with the more that you say at this point in time, the worse off you're going to be. So therefore, you're not going to say anything else. Which, funny enough, is well within your rights. Because the things that you are going to say are about to incriminate you in this situation. They are married to this particular script that they've come up with. They're married to it. They can't deviate from it whatsoever. In fact, they're not even that imaginative. They're not even that confident in it. They don't even like it. They want to talk around it and about it and how much noise the sliding door makes. They're taking the truth to their grave because they feel their lives are more important than Jack and Lily's, Anita. Yeah, that's a good statement. Yeah, he did say that, didn't he? Yeah, you could say that. He's taking this to the grave. That's how he came across. One person needs a conscience to come forward to tell the truth for Jack and Lily. Well, at some level, I think that person's Malaya, personally. I'm still pissed off at her. You're not going to get these two hardened criminals, Ma Parker and the boys fucking... You're not going to get them to trip up. They're tripping up already, but I mean... they're sticking to their story in that sense. Yeah, tell the truth. This is just as much of a fantasy as a lot of what Daniel is saying. We're just too entitled out here. We're expecting the truth. Well, you expect the truth because we're, as listeners and people consuming this, we wanted the truth and we gave them the benefit of the doubt. And then all of these months later, come to find out none of what they said can be verified. None of it's true, and none of it still looks very good because it leads back to certain questions within the situation. I'm not even going to take that conversation, Lori Green. Again, you don't need the bodies to prosecute them in a court of law. You don't need to know necessarily what happened to the kids in that sense. They're scared to put in details of Thursday because that part of the script wasn't rehearsed. Yeah, it was all rehearsed after the event had happened. That's a great observation, Robin. That's probably true. Something that hasn't been talked about very much. But that's a great observation. They want to tell you that it was like any other day. It was a typical day. Okay, then the next question is from the cops, what's a typical day, right? And that's how they described, or that's how they came across and come up with the information for those, or for the paperwork, the early paperwork. There's nothing in there that would even indicate any sort of interaction with Jack and Lily or a happy family that's engaged with dinner, the normal, what you would imagine families to do. Well, of course, there's several trail hikers. There's all kinds. But again, it doesn't mean that the Crown or the RCMP are going to do anything any particular way. They probably aren't even I don't even want to speak for them. But again, we're 8 months in to the evidence gathering phase, the very beginning of the situation, like it or not. Why? Because the RCMP were handed nothing but falsehoods and lies, and they've got to sort out the timeline themselves, as opposed to relying on any credible information from any of the adults that were there with the kids at the time. They have proven themselves and continue to do unreliable, which on one hand tells you where the guilty parties are, but on the other hand, it makes your work that much more difficult and extensive. You have to put in more work, more investigative work. It just takes more time. And that's what we're in right now. So thank God we can find so many interesting things to talk about. And there's obviously not a smoking gun there, or else they would be behind bars right now, where they belong. But now they're up in front of a camera telling everybody just how wrong you guys are for making them feel a certain way, and all of these suspicions, all of this talk about them unaliving Jack and Lily, or just affecting them to the point where they can't move, they can't function normally in society. That's somebody else's fault at this point in time. Well, just wait.
I've been holding this in for 2 months until Thursday when I gave my interview. The reason why I've been doing this is the investigators advised me not to speak to anybody because of their investigation. But it's been over 2 months now. I find the investigators are not telling us anything. They put only one report.
Lori, they're not going to base everything off of what we see and experience here on social media. It's going to be relevant and fluid to their own case, not what we perceive out here. They move when they have the answers. And they'll build rapport with them for as long as it takes to get all of the information that they need. And rapport building has been what they've been doing with Malaya in that sense. You can get a sense of that. Oh, we respect your privacy, you guys. Don't worry about that. We respect your privacy.
Poured out since all this happened. They are not giving us any updates. I'm tired. I can't deal with this because they are keeping stuff to themselves, which the public should know. We should know what is happening.
Oh, yeah, especially the suspects. Well, she's telling the truth there. She really wants to know what the RCMP knows. That way she can best avoid. You guys are holding all this information back from us. Why would she be so worried about that? Why would she be so concerned about that and what the RCMP knows? Like as though her knowing that is going to make some sort of difference in bringing Jack and Lily back. What is it she wants to see happen out of all of this? The RCMP can get pings off a phone that they're not telling or waiting on. They get, well, that's true. That would be part of the digital forensics. Yeah, they do. They want to know so bad. They want to try to put it back on them as though that's a thing in this. Thought you just called them for assistance to begin with. Now you're mad at them? For what? What did they do? Keep alluding to all of this information being readily available out there, but the RCMP won't tell anybody. She desperately wants to be just like you and I in all of this. Well, no matter how much you squirm or stomp your feet or yell, you're still going to be in the same position, Janie. You have all of the information that people need in that sense. You want to pretend like you don't. You want to pretend that there's information out there that's relevant to the case, and you want it just as much as everybody else does. For what? To satisfy their curiosity. It's not like you're going to go make a citizen's arrest like I'm going to make on Kent. I'm going to put my fucking own personal silver bracelets on Derwood and Kent. I'm going to come down there when this shit folds. I'm going to do it ceremoniously. Go ahead and turn around for me, Kent. Spread them. I'm going to treat them rough, too. I'm going to come down and make a large donation to the RCMP's Policeman's Ball just so I can be there for the perp walk. Like, I'm talking like right behind holding the silver bracelets. For each and every one of these individuals. For Janie, there's going to be a perp walk. For Daniel, there's going to be a perp walk. For Derwood, there's probably going to be a perp walk. Yep. That's only leaves you, Kent. Double cuff him. We're going to have to get out the spit mask for this boy.
I don't believe Malaya took that picture. I believe it was a drone. The same drone that took the picture of the property. I wasn't around when it happened, but I'm believing it was a drone that took the picture of Daniel and Justin on the ATV. There is something else I have to clear up about the ATV. The ATV has not been on this property.
Yeah, this isn't going to go away, isn't it? Clapping seal. It says, whatever this is, Janie, it's not going away. No matter how much she wants it to. And she's really put off about it, isn't she? She's really put off about having to be put through this. Hey, Quillfish. Enough already. Enough already. You guys have searched this place 3 times. It should be done. Enough already. Go search somewhere else. Elsewhere. Out there. None of what you would expect to hear, like whatever it takes, or we're here for the long haul. Whatever it takes. Now this nonsense. What was that before? That somehow in this situation the Amber Alert system needed to be altered to accommodate these criminals? Are you fucking joking? No, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's unnecessary that anybody knows your problems, bitch. What a stupid distraction. No, we didn't need a nationwide Amber Alert to alert everybody that your kids are missing. And when exactly did that occur to you? Was it 10 a.m.? Was it 9:55? Was it 8 a.m.? Was it 5 a.m.? Was it 11 p.m. May 1st? 9:30 p.m. May 1st? At what point, honey, did they become missing? What was the trigger? What was the trigger factor in all of this that made them call 911? It just wasn't out of instinct. That's a cop-out bullshit lie. Is that your answer? You may as well cuff them now. This drifting in and out of sleep, this instinct are just cop-outs. They're ways to avoid telling you the specific details. Anytime somebody wants to talk about it and they instinctively did anything, it's damn near a cop-out. You're avoiding talking about the reason. As though instinct doesn't need description or somehow is a replacement for the process, especially when your kids are missing. the Meadow custody situation isn't going to affect any sort of justice, guys. Michelle, they're not waiting for things. It's a separate. They're not getting Meadow back in that sense. Malaya, hard to say, but nothing's going to happen with Meadow, and she'll be a ward of the crown. For as long as there is no answers in all of this, she'll be just a ward of the crown. Magdalena comes in my chat saying, now wait for it, are you sitting down? Malaya wanted Amber Alert to tell the whole country, yet she didn't call her own father right away. He found out a couple of days later. So what we're experiencing from Malaya is her continuous bullshit, lies, and deception. She's a liar too, a pathological liar. She constantly lies to Cindy. Constantly trying to lie to everybody in her life, especially about her children's possible diagnosis of autism at such a young age. Bullshit. Malaya probably, I wonder, took or distanced herself a little bit emotionally from her own children way back in December when Children's Aid were there. Added pressure within the household. And they're not going to recognize, they don't even consider what it is that they live in, squalor or a shitty situation. They think how they're going about their lives, treating the kids, is okay, is fine. It doesn't need to be changed. And the state, the province, is overstepping their boundaries and is worthy of lies. In that moment, they were lying to the Children's Aid. Absolutely, they were. And in that situation, they'll, as their excuse, they will claim, and that's where the autism, the ASD, comes in. Because it's an alternative, and you can visually identify, and they're interchangeable. You can't quite figure out if it's either going to be autism or, unfortunately, severe neglect, and that's coming from a doctor. That's how they will look at things. They'll be unable to diagnose this. You just need to go on to the next steps. Are you concerned? You go to the next step and get an official diagnosis. It's a whole process. So it tells me that she's more satisfied with her living conditions and not really concerned about all of the things that make, one, you a fantastic mother or your kids happy. You want to blame it on some diagnosis, some label. You want to put it back then. That's still putting the blame. You're blaming the neglect and the effects of the neglect onto the children rather than actually confront your own life and make those changes or identify the problems that are affecting your kids, like Daniel in this purgatory that you guys are fucking living in. She probably wasn't allowed to think like that. Of course she wasn't. And that's some of the reasons that she wasn't allowed to talk to Cindy or Patty or whoever on the phone. That was an all the time thing. This problem and it happened all the time. Not just once or twice. It wasn't over a disagreement. It was a constant thing. It was a constant thing where he would hold her down. Sometimes it would hurt. Again, define, well, what does exactly that mean, Malaya? Whatever it is, you're far past the threshold of domestic violence. There's a problem there. There's something that you're avoiding talking about. The problem there was the communications and the things that Malaya were telling Cindy, whether Daniel agreed with them or not. They were concerned for Malaya. Probably because they knew that she was not very good at looking after her own kids or herself. I mean, it's an underlying problem here to begin with. She doesn't know any different because she doesn't want to know any different. She's preoccupied. She's distracted with looking a certain way. She's distracted with keeping up with her peers. How tight her jeans are. What makeup to put on. She's not distracted with making her husband a steak and mushroom dinner. She's not distracted by making a macaroni salad to munch off of and keep in the fridge for the week. That sounds good, by the way. She's distracted by the things that kept her estranged voluntarily from her family. And it would have to be devices. And that's probably one of the things that Janie and Daniel hold against her. The fact that they're holding things against her is interesting. It tells me that they're not really working together. They're not communicating. They're holding something against her as though she's doing something wrong, and she keeps doing it over and over and over again, which makes them just as bad. This is your girl, and you guys have a family together, and all you can do is point your finger and tell them all of the things that they're doing wrong, rather than work to fix or resolve things. This is a little bit worse than pissing on the toilet seat. Or not being a very good cook. At least you're trying to cook. That's a start. Now, let's get creative. Maybe you need to teach them a little bit. Maybe you need to find the right motivation. They weren't interested in all of this shit. They are interested in getting fucking high, getting drunk, partying on the weekends, and being social in that sense, as opposed to really being great parents or gaining education or employment, bettering themselves. The only bettering going on around there to them was that cockamamie looking fence out there, and it is a goddamn eyesore. A pointless eyesore. Fuck, there's so many things to do around that shithole, and you're fucking buying lumber to build a half-assed fence? Michelle Mybell says, LOL, AB, I was going to say I haven't heard all of this. I heard out all of this of MPM cooking once a meal for anyone, including the kids. Usually, especially when you have 3 children, you've got 3 kids. Every day, your life revolves around food. Your food and grocery bills are enormous. Or they should be. But it takes so much time to get everybody fed. You have no choice but to do it all together. That's the most efficient way to do it. So you need to go out of your way and have breakfast on the table, lunch on the table, supper on the table, not to mention nutrition snacks in between. That's a must. And they don't do any of that. Look, I mean, granted, they've got a baby, and I mean, it's not going to be very much, but still. And everything's centric around food. You're going for food. You're cooking food. Except that particular day. Yeah, it would be a major part of your routine, Susan Bezio. You're right. That's the words I'm looking for. I'm leaving out. They lived for a chaotic lifestyle. We choose stability and routine. So the question is, what was old Danny Boy? This is we're wondering or looking for them to tell us the answers to what it is we're already answering, because when you're in a situation like this, there's only going to be so many options, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. And they're playing house. They're shacked up. They got a new kid, and they've got 2 children who are now missing and presumed dead. We've got a sex offender alert in my chat here. You can come back in, you son of a bitch, when you unban me from your channel. Bye-bye then. That was a real life sex offender in here. Can you believe that? He was 37 and she was just turned 15 on her 15th birthday. And he's been crazy ever since. Suffers from Dunning-Kruger effect. Pseudologica fantastica. He's been diagnosed in front of a judge, very rare, that he can't stop lying. Oh yeah, he's a trip, man. And all he does all day is stream himself in like 280p watching YouTube. Him sitting there shirtless watching YouTube. He's a real freak. His name's Rex Allen Fredrickson. You can search him on the Colorado State Sex Offender Registry and Illinois. That's your shout out, Rex.
In the last 5 years or so, because my neighbor, which I'm not going to mention, is known for stealing property. And that was one thing that I did not want him to take. And I also want to mention too.
So there's her deflection to Bradley Wong early on. She knows how damaging that is. It's interesting. This is really interesting how she chose to treat Bradley Wong in this. What we would think is a good Samaritan, a kind neighbor, telling police what he witnessed the night before, some sort of clue telling us where these children or what could have happened to the kids. See, it so clashes with their bullshit script. They had to just deny what reality is to 2 separate people that witnessed the traffic from 12 and 4 a.m. from that house. Corbin in my chat wants to know why Justin was crying. Why exactly Justin was crying? Well, my first answer to that is it's because he's a little bitch. And he was probably crying because he saw his mummy Janie crying. And they're just fucking like that. They're inbred hicks. Okay? They probably all have some weird fucking inbred connection where they're all crying. You know, they all set off a chain reaction cry. My first initial reaction to all of this is they're crying because they're fucking weak and they're pussies. If you're crying and I'm a cop, I'm asking, why are they crying? Why are they crying? You start crying because you can't find something? You don't give up and cry. You cry for reasons that aren't going to come up until long after that point in time, guys. A little early, don't you think? They're really crying for themselves. They're crying and they're shitting their pants. God knows what Justin's crying for. There's so much we don't know about him. And why is he avoiding everything? Certainly you'd want to stand up for your brother, Danny. Janie cried on Saturday. Justin cried on Monday. Ilya, is that true? She knew Bradley Wong heard stuff because Ron went over there the next day and talked with Brad, right? I'm not sure about that. I think the way I heard it, Michelle, is that the police asked them about it and you know, really identified the witness in that sense to Daniel at that point in time. So they were so taken, they were rattled and shaken by that. They had to then come up with rationale, and they come up with this using his past against him, an effort to discredit him and his story about the traffic and what he saw the night before, because it's true, as opposed to it being untrue and just a meddling neighbor trying to set them up. Like, that doesn't even fit the situation, number one. Save it for court. But you can see that coming down the line. He's going to be a very interesting witness. Hey, Bradley Wong, make sure you testify against these sons of bitches. You're going to be a hero. Who would steal their garbage and it's all trash? Nobody steals garbage, dude. Except the FBI. And that's a joke. Yeah, the fact that they brought that up is a bit of a joke. They keep trying to, back then it's really just to insinuate that there has to be somebody else involved. And there's an element there in the moment that makes you question things. That is the opposite of the smoking gun. That's its use. Afterwards, when we look at it and couple it together in a big ball, its totality, and take a look at the things, it looks really bad against these assholes. It looks like they're winging it, and they were. Justin was crying because Janie said she was crying, not crying for the kids. Oh, of course not. Why would he be? Why would you just stop and start crying because you can't find the kids? At what point did they become missing? At what point? That's what doesn't line up with the story that they gave. There's obviously more. Listen, it's not like it's a big mystery. We're just talking about it tonight. They immediately discredited their own stories publicly. You can't get any more suspicious for an investigator. Like, the whole point to repeating the same question and having a suspect tell you it over and over again is to gauge the level of inconsistencies, to catch them up. And they've done that. That's out there. But they want to get ahead of it by talking about it in ways that is just doing too much. Which, when you catch on to it and recognize it, it's easy to see, but you see how useful it is in the moment to the perpetrator, the suspect. Because it forces you to come out with what it is that you have to one-up them. If you're looking to get the truth, but we're not expecting them to be forthcoming about it. That's not a new thing to an officer. They're not going to just say, oh, okay, we believe you. Right out, Michelle Maybell. That's a good way to put it in a metaphorical sense. Thank you. They have to try to discredit Bradley because he blows their story out of the water and the timeline. Absolutely, Miss K. He's the key to all of this. And for investigators, that's where the story opens up, in my mind. And there's no way anybody around there, it's not like a person is going to sleep through this. They're not going to sleep through all of or any activity around that place. Number one, they're so worried about a bear, if that's true. They're already on alert and they're already listening for things, but it's impossible not to hear things out of that trailer. It's not insulated. Okay? It's paper thin. In fact, it's so fucking noisy and annoying, Janie had to herself move out into the RV.
Someone, I can't tell you who, has broken in, when Daniel and I were away, has broken in to our trailer and have taken a few things. I'm not going to say what they are, but have taken a few things. And this has all been reported to the investigators. And yes,
do we
still
even
have
want to go there?
drones that fly over or that are over.
911. Yes, I'd like to report a break-in. Okay. Yes, I believe it's Bradley, and there's a few things missing. What the fuck kind of Carol Burnett skit is this you're describing? Can you believe this shit? I love that one. Like, talk about intentionally trying to be general in that sense. It's such a you're trying to really emphasize to a group of people how significant this is, how to discredit him, yet you come across as so general. Yes, I knew this Bradley come by and broke into my place and took a few things. Well, what was she going to say? Her half a kilo of crystal methamphetamine? What's up with that? Why would you even say shit like this? She gets herself into these all the time. Like, she's fabricating. She goes too far. She leaks. And then she immediately says the opposite and contradicts herself. Oh, what a delight. What a delight. And no, she wasn't at any boyfriends. There's no fucking way, Wolfie, I believe that. Number one, I don't know what the hell planet you're living on, brother, but there's no way any dude is dating Janie, okay? She doesn't seem like the type to get along. You know? Oh, I'm going over to my... First of all, you live in a goddamn RV in the middle of your driveway. You didn't think you'd shower and clean yourself up before you went out? None of that talk. No. Listen, guys, don't believe that fucking bullshit. Why you're putting that in your mind, there's nobody out there in their right mind that's going to be dating Janie. I don't believe that for a second. Maybe somebody in her own family. Maybe. But there's no fucking way is she dating anybody looking like that right now. Like, I mean, she doesn't even give a shit. She's not even dolling herself up or making herself look presentable for CBC. Like, really? You think that she's dating some dude? Well, she certainly didn't get him on Facebook dating. Didn't get him on any, Plenty of Fish. She ain't got any makeup on. Like, you think somebody's going to swipe right on that shit? Not even, dude. Not even Derwood. No, fuck Derwood. Derwood's a ladies' man. He likes to think he's not going to go. He might tap that some night, but not on a relationship business. He might do it when he's all pissed up on the whiskey. It was her Marlboro Lights missing, but DM sneaked him in for a big puff. Oh shit. Like, I'm not there's somebody for everybody. Okay? And love's achievable, and love is within yourself. But there's no way that there's any fucking love inside Janie McKenzie. We can hear her. We listen to her. Could you imagine that poor soul? She would be catfishing somebody. Maybe she's a hustler, a catfish. Oh, look at how... is this really what I look like? Taking all of these... Maybe she's getting pictures done by Logan McKenzie. That means just using the same app. Yeah, Laura, I just said that. Janie got bigger package than most men, I presume. She's something. There's no love in Janie McKenzie's heart. It doesn't even come out for the short times that we've heard her talk about everybody else, like her other grandchildren. She's got an unrealistic sense of the world. She's detached from reality, number one. And especially now. You fucking trust this woman to make your spaghetti sauce? Nope. Number two, I don't think you're going to have to worry about it because she's not much of a cook. I mean, if you consider like Wonder Bread with a slice of processed cheese and some bolognas, maybe a little mustard, but that might be too exotic for her.
Our place. It's usually Friday and Saturday nights, mostly. So if the people out there that are flying the drones, if you like to watch a 60-year-old woman on a Friday and Saturday night and have nothing better to do, you go ahead. And I'd like to say something else. And for all the people that are driving by, taking pictures of my property and taking pictures to see that what we're doing in the yard, I'm going to let you guys know I am scared of being in my own place because I stick mostly to my RV and my backyard because I never know that when somebody's going to blame us for what's going on, or blame me, I should say, I am scared to death that somebody's going to come along and do something to me while I'm in my yard. That's how
Oh boy.
scared I am. Now, all these here interviews that Daniel have done.
That's how scared she is. I don't even believe that she's scared in that sense. I believe that she's afraid for her freedom. She's not being completely direct with us. You're not reading this off a piece of paper, are you?
I am scared for him too. I'm scared it will turn out to be like a porta pack. That's what I am scared of. I told the investigators this, and
Here she goes crying.
they more or less can't do anything about it because they're on public property, If they step
I wonder what she wanted. Could you make these people stop? Can you station an officer out here in Gage and just tell people when they slow down to fuck off on my behalf, please? Is that what you're looking for? She's so bothered by these things, but she doesn't want to identify what it is that bothers her about it. She just doesn't like people talking about her behind her back. That's really what it is. That's what you're describing, Janie. You don't like people talking about you behind your back? You're paranoid? Why are you so paranoid? About what? Because you're going to be wrongfully accused of something that you didn't do? Am I being charged with something that I didn't do?
put on my property, then there's something I can do. Yes, I believe the kids are alive. And the reason why I believe the kids are alive is because my heart is telling me they are alive.
It's like Hank Williams.
If they are deceased, I would have, just like everybody else, you'd have this feeling in your heart that you can't explain.
Oh, that answers it all. Oh, you know that feeling in your heart that you can't explain? That's what's telling me the kids are still alive. In other words, she doesn't want to apply any common sense or logic to why she feels a certain way because you can't explain it. That's like dickhead Daniel telling you that there's nothing worth remembering. Come on. You know, that you just can't describe? Well, it's that. So really, she has no reason to why she believes the kids are still alive. What does that tell you? There's no real reason. She doesn't want to tell you the reason why she thinks the kids are still alive because she knows the kids are otherwise. All right? But she doesn't want to answer that question the other way because that would open up people to bring it to the next question, which she doesn't want to answer either. Major form of avoidance. Yeah, Ilya, you'd have to feel them in your heart to begin with. She never did. She's just so bonded to these children. Like that's just a natural thing that humans have in their hearts. You know, that thing that you can't describe? Is that the medical term? So non-emotional, talking about the kids being not alive, in your opinion, Neuro. Good one. Very good. And look at how she got out of it. She believes they're still alive because that thing that goes on inside that you can't describe has told her so.
And your gut feeling. But no, I definitely believe the kids are not deceased.
What about that feeling in your fucking face after I slap you, biatch? Huh?
I believe they are alive. Where they are, I cannot tell you. As I said before, if I knew where the kids were, I would go and get them. I would not care what...
That's exactly what Derwood in private calls likes to say and Jordan likes to say, almost word for word. That's how you know that they're all conspiring together behind the scenes. Just another example. Oh, if I knew where the kids were, I'd go get them myself. Well, yeah, but who brings that up? Derwood? Jordan brings that up? Janie brings that up as though that's actually an answer to everything. And you weren't even asked to begin with. This is information that you're volunteering as though it's supposed to be representative of something. Can you not just say? No, she doesn't want to just say. She only cries when she talks about her sons or her other grandchildren, not Jack or Lily. Yeah, and again, she's crying about herself being inconvenienced as a way to garner sympathy. And she wants you to think, because we're here for Jack and Lily, that she's crying for Jack and Lily. No. She just told us all about the things that inconvenience her. Well, those would be and equate to the things that would be worth crying over to an old bat like her. She only cries when she talks about her sons, right? You could hear her flip the pages. Could you? I've got my noise canceling earphones on. I'm not sure I did hear that paper. Maybe you did. Yes, she's all phony baloney talking about J and L. No true emotion. True.
Kind of shit I got into, I would go and get them. And there's another thing that I would like to...
No matter what kind of shit that she would get into, she'd be right there. That's what Derwood and Jordan love to say as well. Without being asked. Like, that's an answer to something. Guys, that's you just replacing. That's such a non-answer. You're not saying anything when you say that. That doesn't have anything to do with what happened, what time it was, what you were doing. Such a phony story out here.
To put out there, I would like whoever has the kids or whoever knows where the kids are, please, if they want to and they want to get out of trouble, please drop them off where they pick them up at night time. We do not have cameras. We do not have an outside street light. It is pure dark. If you watch a video of someone that saw me supposedly filling potholes in, how dark it is, because they drove by to show everybody how dark it is.
What? What is she saying?
If they want to drop the kids off of here, and if they got the kids to yell, my dog would let me know that they're out there. I will go get them, and I will make sure they are safe.
This time.
I don't...
What? Listen, you're an old weirdo that lives in an RV. Why would anybody be returning kids to you in order for you to make safe at this point in time? especially after everything that you've said. Yeah, she's responding to people's criticism and perception of them, Ms. K.
The only thing I can tell you about that is I had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. I know Daniel did not have anything to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. The reason I know that, I know in my heart that Daniel would not harm those children.
Oh, that same heart again. That same heart that gives you the feeling inside that you just can't describe. Well, that's some pretty accurate gauging there. That's like a micrometer. So precise of an instrument. She's so full of shit. That's a non-answer.
The answer relies with Malaya.
Why is she in and out of like semi-crying state? It's an overemphasis in trying to put emotion in your voice to a person who's not very good. Like a normal person who was experiencing normal human emotions would be able to tap into their emotions. It'll often be triggered. It doesn't need to be forced. Janie's is forced.
Hasn't spoke up, she hasn't come, and she hasn't said anything about all this. That's all I have to say. The rest of the answers to all your questions rely with Malaya. The only thing I can tell you about that is I had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. I know Daniel did not have anything to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. The reason I know that, I know in my heart that Daniel would not harm those children. The answer relies with Malaya. She hasn't spoke up, she hasn't come, and
So she's talking about what happened to Jack and Lily. She knows her and Daniel don't have anything to do with whatever happened to Jack and Lily with the disappearance. There's two things there involved with that too, by the way. There's the incident and the cover-up. But she wants us to know that the answers, and the answer to that in which she was just speaking with, the answers lie with Malaya. So again, she's leading on and she's telling us that she knows something happened to Jack and Lily, as opposed to a person who shouldn't know anything in that sense. If you didn't know anything, you would have no reason to be telling people all the answers lie with Malaya.
hasn't said anything about all this. That's all I have to say. The rest of the answers to all your questions rely with Malaya. I'm going to give an opinion on here, and this is my opinion and my opinion only. I think Sunny should watch what she says about people.
That's really funny. You think, Janie, you're in a position to be calling anybody out, you old battle axe? I can't wait until she gets fucking booked.
She has very, very bad accusations about people.
Just another spot she doesn't want to be specific in. Now you want to generalize again? Sounds like you're scared of Sunny. You've said some very bad things made some very serious allegations about people. Oh yeah, oh, like when, where? You don't want to be specific exactly? Oh, because she wants to avoid any further questioning on anything. She doesn't want anybody else getting any ideas. I have to stay general.
and I do not like it. The reason I am on Facebook is because I will not go on her because she has her opinion, yes, but her accusations towards people is terrible. And I don't like the way she nags Daniel all the time to come on and defend himself. That is up to Daniel to do that, not her agonizing and antagonize him to do it. And I do not go on any otherbody's show. I went on Facebook there a while ago, and I tried to explain to people, give people timelines, and they just screwed it all up. So I went off there.
What does that tell you? What does that say to you? I tried giving you people the timelines and you just turned around and screwed it right up. She's really wanting people to believe what it is that she says without question, without anything. And it's everybody else. You're fucking stupid. I tried and you fucked it up. Now you get a sense of the type of things that Malaya heard inside that RV and the kids heard. Such irrational, nonsensical blather directed at them unnecessarily at every turn. Wouldn't that be enough to drive you crazy? It was Malaya, I believe. And it was Daniel. Because let's not forget here, friends, their little 2-week fucking honeymoon before Daniel got the hell out of his mom's trailer and moved in with Patty, it was to get away from Janie. He can't stand fucking living there. She's a fucking crazy woman. That was a major motivation for Daniel to move into Patty's in the first place and get with Malaya. She seemed a lot better looking when Daniel had that motivation in him to get the fuck out of the RV. To get the hell out of the trailer with Janie. To get out away from the farm, let's say. Yeah, I'd say that those 2 weeks, that was a major thing. He's trying to get on with his life. He needs to get the hell away from her and with somebody else. So, best place to go for him was Facebook, was to take a selfie shirtless in the bathroom mirror and post it on Facebook Dating and hang out on Facebook for a while until, a sucker hits. And that sucker was Malaya. She moved him in, and it's a problem right away. You're moving in with somebody, and then you have to get to know them. Not to mention them, Malaya, getting to know Malaya. Well, it's not much to get to know in that sense because you just forced your will upon her regardless. We're just going to make it work. We have our ups and downs like every other couple. Fuck, and then some. We're just getting to know each other. We don't even actually know each other. But we live together. Oh, she has a couple kids, but that's okay. But come to think of it, she is slacking a little bit. It is crazy to shack up within 2 weeks. I can't fathom that. You can when you can fathom it a little bit more after you listen to what Daniel had to fucking put up with at home. You're like, dude, I can't even stand to be around this liar. Like, you're almost forced to lie back to her just to get out of there, right? Like, you've got Janie fucking lying around there, hassling you. Daniel's just learned to lie to her. Can't wait to get out of here. That's why he's got his shirt off. That's in the trailer. That's the bathroom in the trailer, that mirror. And they're closing the door, smoking his drugs, flexing. May as well take some pictures. God damn, I look good. God damn it. I should put this on Facebook Dating. That's how we're going to get the hell out of here. I don't know. Mom won't lend me any money. I'm going to have to find me a woman some other way. So then up goes the shirtless fucking profile. He's looking to hurry things up. My love runs hot like a $2 pistol. What am I looking at for in a partner? Do you have a queen-size bed? As long as you have a place where I can sleep, I'll be happy. I've only got 2 pairs of pants and 2 shirts. I travel light. Yet Daniel finds it easier to lie than to go through this rant every time. Oh yeah, like a person that lies to the extent that Janie does, and so like she's not very good at it, but it's natural to her. She doesn't mind doing it, so it tells me that she does it all the fucking time. Well, think about the level of lying that she's putting on her own self by trying to convince herself that she's happy out there. Like she's gone to the extent of getting all of these little things that she puts around the garden to make it look more like a home. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're lying to yourself. You've got solar screw-on lamps to the outside of this ridiculous fence that you just put up. That's really not a fence because it's not doing anything. You got these little garden sculptures on top of a 5-gallon pail. Oh, you've just stained it with the really aqua-looking color. Boy, that's looking really fucking sharp. That really brings out the highlights of this 45-year-old RV that's fucking broken down and won't run. It's like you just fucking threw a party in a junkyard. Why don't you get up some patio lanterns out in this bitch? Really set the place off. You look like you live in a dump, woman. In fact, that used to be a thing. Like, this is where you would find old dilapidated RVs, at the dump. A place like Kent's Shop. Yeah, men hate nagging, including their mums nagging, Miss K. Oh, yeah. Especially ones that are high on meth. Tweaking out. Oh, it's annoying. You could just see Daniel. That's Janie's house. That's Janie's home. Daniel couldn't wait to get the hell out of it and into the arms of Malaya, and he would say and do anything to make himself fit in. How the hell he was going to... Like, you're really fucked. I mean, dude, there's... she's living with somebody else. It's not even her own place. There's Patty. You're moving into Patty's too. Could you imagine waking up for fucking breakfast one morning and Danny boy is sitting there at the table? Because I'm telling you, I don't think Malaya ran it by Patty before she moved this asshole in. You don't think that's going to create some sort of problems? Oh, I'm moving in my new boyfriend today. We've only been together 2 weeks. Imagine every night with Janie would be, if you don't like it, get out of my property. She probably says that numerous times a day. Including when Malaya was there. That's probably a common phrase around there. In fact, it's probably her motto, the family motto. Probably got it in the kitchen, hung up. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. She just points to it all. 5, 6, 7 times a day. Every time she comes in. Daniel, come out and empty my shitty 5-gallon pail again. It's full.
And that was my opinion about Brenda. Just like everybody else has opinions.
Brenda? You mean Belinda?
So everybody...
How many ways do you want to talk about somebody? Like, sometimes you can understand mispronouncing a name. But she calls Belinda probably 3 or 4 different names throughout all of this. That's not Belinda. Like, I'm not saying it's on purpose. I think it's part of the fabricating and lying. She's just on a roll making shit up. She has a hard time switching it back to something that's accurate. Melinda.
The wrong way. I'm sorry.
Because she's wasted? That's a good one. That's what drunks do. It's dipping into some of that Derwood stash.
I will say Dara did get some things wrong with what I said, but in my interview and on here, I am correcting what he said about events. I am telling my truth about my...
Oh, she's up here correcting what Derwood had already came out and said that you said. Now she's up here correcting that because he was flawed a little bit. I'm sure the RCMP don't mind that whatsoever. Sure. What's the story now again, honey? Love it how no matter what way you portray it, she's telling you information from a position of knowledge, whereas she shouldn't be in that context whatsoever if she was a true victim. You wouldn't be in that position, in that mindset to tell people all of this information and discern fact from fiction and what's true and what's not in any sense of the word. You wouldn't be in that situation. Derwood didn't get her lies right. She doesn't like it. She wants to tweak it. Like, I mean, holy fucking shit. They're so insistent that whatever words are coming out of their mouths, no matter how contradictory it is to any other statements, are the absolute truth in that moment, and that you're wrong for not understanding or believing them. Just another indicator. They don't give a shit about all of that now. In fact, I think that they've shut their yaps of late a little bit more. Finally, somebody, when they get onto it, but friends, it's much too late for all of that now.
Side of what happened. On May 1st, nobody was here. On May 2nd, when Jack and Lily disappeared, the people that stayed here on May 2nd was Malaya's two great aunts and Malaya's grandmother stayed the night. On that Friday, May 2nd, the ones that were in the trailer, which was a family reunion, was Malaya's mother, Cindy, Malaya's grandmother, Patty, Malaya's aunt, I don't know her name, I never met her, Malaya's two great aunts, I never met them, and Cindy's boyfriend. We're all in the big trailer, eating, drinking coffee. I don't believe any of them.
I don't believe any of them did any searching. Yeah, you've said that to police right away. What's interesting is that they say that you never even introduced yourself. You avoided even talking to any of them. You were doing just as much avoiding as Danny was out there on the lam. Was really what he was out there doing. Out there avoiding the cops. On the run.
Went out searching on that Saturday after everybody left, after the fight or the altercation at the end of the driveway. Everybody left except Malaya's grandmother Patty was here, and she was going to stay the night. But I think it was Corey, Haley's boyfriend, came and took her. She did not want to leave. But Corey came and took her, and they all left. There was nobody here after that when everybody left on Saturday evening.
You know, it's so interesting. Here you've got this old crow living in the RV in the driveway. And they're really insinuating, without directly talking about it, they're directing people to hopefully what they would consider a stranger abduction and something that's completely not their responsibility. But the problem is Janie, if she truly felt like that, you think that there would be some fear with all the uncertainty. She would be a little bit more terrified of living out in the driveway in an RV, a broken down RV that doesn't run. It's almost like being homeless with some crazed maniac out there who steals kids. Not right, Earl? Earl doesn't give a shit. Let Janie suffer out there. There's no real battening down of the hatches. No real effect of being victimized in the worst way because they're too busy putting the blame back onto the kids. I would be so fucking gunned out, armed out with guns coming out my asshole, ready for the next person to look at me funny. You'd have to tear me away because it would be unhealthy, but yet they're even more comfortable now than they were when Malaya and the kids lived there. Things are finally getting back to normal. From her perspective. She's looking out there in the patio, entertaining people. Yeah, whatever happened to the kids, they just decided to put their boots on and open up that sliding door, and nobody could hear them. They did it all behind our backs. Like, no matter what way you look at it, they're putting the blame back onto the poor victims here, the kids. Yeah, they didn't make any noise. Otherwise, I would have been alerted to it and could have been able to prevent this if the kids did something just a little bit differently. And that's supposed to be a replacement for grief, confusion, shame. It's all your fault. Janie shouldn't be all that excited to be living there at this point in time, considering that, you know, how do you know it wasn't Bradley Wong? I'm surprised you're not throwing the finger at him right away. He's been over stealing a few things. Well, how do we know that he didn't come over and steal a couple more things, meaning the kids? All kinds of people in and out of here stealing stuff. So I'm not surprised the kids are gone. It's just bound to happen. They're gone because the mother doesn't look after them. No, I think it's a little bit different than that. This is the middle of the country. You can go outside with no shirt on, no shoes, but you'll be right back in when you get cold. That's a learning curve, a lesson, if you will. Next time, don't be so stupid and put a coat on. Wow. You know, all of these things to hang and blame Malaya for as though she's a bad mother. It's just an opportunity for you to shit on her. Just an extension of what was already occurring within the home. The type of attitude and the difficult people in Jack and Lily's life. Here's one of them on your screen.
But I'm going to mention this too, okay? Daniel is a big boy. Or a man. Whatever you guys want to call him. He's my son.
How emasculating was that? Daniel is a big boy. Or a man, whatever you want to call him. No, that doesn't seem like this is a woman who's very certain about what it is that she's feeling towards Danny. Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a tweaker. He's also a little bitch. And a coward. And a bad, bad liar.
I will not stick up for my son. If he is telling the truth or he's telling a lie.
Listen to that. You will not stick up for your son, but you're introducing whether or not what he's telling the world is true or not. What does that tell you? Like all of these disclaimers. Listen, you guys tell the same story, but you're telling us if Daniel told it in a different manner and it wasn't exactly true, that somehow the same story that you told isn't your responsibility. Jesus Christ, these people are confusing. There's no meaning. There's no meaning behind it except for what seems like a personal disclaimer. And yeah, you are sticking up for Danny. You're providing him, that's the point would be, you provided an alibi. But you really pretty much shot yourselves in the foot with all of that because it's so unconvincing. It's unconvincing, even on paper.
That is on him, not me. But I can tell you that Daniel and Justin had nothing to do with the disappearing or...
She's the one who's introduced Justin, so maybe people are onto things. Maybe he's got more to do and he's more involved with this than we like to think. If she's introducing and suggesting this, maybe she's just answering people at the time and their questions. It's good to have a refresher like that and to hear it come out of her mouth. She does a lot of leaking. Put a depends around your head there, Janie.
anything to do with Jack and Lily.
Yeah, they didn't have anything to do with Jack and Lily. That's kind of what we're saying here tonight, honey. There's a lot of negligence.
The reason why I'm saying that Justin and Daniel had nothing to do with the disappearing or the deceased or whatever everybody's saying that he did or...
What the hell do we got going on here, guys? This is a gold mine. We just came into a bunch of fish here. Holy shit. What was that again? She is leaking all over the place. Whatever it is everybody's saying, you know, you should have put that at the beginning rather than the end. The death. So here we are with Janie introducing Daniel and the kids being dead. She's actually talking about two different things. Remember how we mentioned a couple times ago, this thing, this it is actually two separate things. And they're identifying it and or fumbling over it in their language. There's the incident that took the kids' lives. And remember, there's more than one child that's unalived here. So there's probably more than two incidents. There's three, because there's the death that happened to Lily, the death that happened to Jack, two separate incidents, plus the cover-up. So it's really hard to narrow down and come in and out of a single thing like the disappearance when three things actually happened and they're talking around. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So they switch in and out of tenses. They refer to it and they fumble over their own words. So that was an example of it, in my opinion. The disappearing, yeah. There's the disappearing, the disposal, the conspiracy, and then there was the incident that led up and caused you to be in that position, times two. So, did different things happen to Jack and Lily? Or was the cause of death the same thing? I don't want anybody out there at this point to get too married to any one choice. Well, you can do what you want, but I choose to keep my mind open. Although it's okay to, think things out in your mind. But don't get married to things as though they're true necessarily at this point in time. But it makes you wonder when you hear Janie talk about things like this, because Well, when you get more than one, like plural, can't really tell necessarily if it's 2 or 3 or 6 or 7. Through language, but it's more than one. Getting too technical, maybe.
That he murdered Jack and Lily. I know that is not true because my heart is telling me that timelines, and they just screwed it all up.
See if I can get back to it. Hold on.
On Facebook is because I will not go on her because she has her opinion, yes, but her accusations told him not to bag it too heavy. My property and taking pictures to see that what we're doing in the yard. I'm going to let you guys know I am scared of being in my own place because I stick mostly to my RV and my backyard because I never know that when somebody's going to blame us for what's going on, or blame me, I should say, I am scared to death that somebody's going to come along and do something to me while I'm in my yard. That's how scared I am. Now, all these here interviews that Daniel have done, I am scared for him.
It's so hilarious to listen to somebody who's so confrontational tell you about how scared they are about something. Because it doesn't go in hand with how confrontational the person is being. A person who's confrontational is the opposite of being scared. It sounds more like a justification for a lie.
Him too. I'm scared it will turn out to be like a porta pack. That's what I am scared of. I told the investigators this, and they more or less can't do anything about it because they're on public property, If they step foot on my property, then there's something I can do. Yes, I believe the kids are alive, and the reason why I believe the kids are alive is because my heart is telling me they are alive. If they are deceased,
guys,
I would have.
Before we get any further, you know how we're listening to her almost recite this off a piece of paper? Of course, this is rehearsed, the story, and her saying this the way she is, without that emotion attached to it, tells you that it's rehearsed in that sense. Not like it's a big breakthrough, but it's another. Moment to observe something that's occurring.
Just like everybody else, you'd have this feeling in your heart that you can't explain.
In her mind beforehand, she came up with this as a way to explain it away when the question arises. And she's going to refer to things like a country song and talk about how her heart feels a certain way, and her tummy and her stomach. She doesn't use the term woman's intuition. She doesn't use any sort of socially appropriate metaphor to the situation. She obfuscates. Okay, what does that tell you? Yeah, Anita, one of her interview, you can hear her paper like she went to the next page. She got a little scribbling pad there. Yeah. Tells you that this script is so important to her. She needs to, constantly check it. Therefore, what else happened? What is it that they're hiding, friends? And it would tell you that Janie's cognizant of it. You have to think Malaya is as well. But it's difficult because in this power dynamic, in this trailer, it would have been imposed upon her regardless. Here's the situation, like it or not. Here's what you're going to say, and we're putting it on you. Meaning Daniel and Janie in this story that Malaya's about to go in front of CTV and say about how everybody's so filled with hurt and sorrow.
And your gut feeling. But no, I definitely believe the kids are not deceased. I believe they are alive.
Like a formal statement. I believe that they are alive. It's because she's not a very good reader. And she talks like she, you know what I mean? It comes across in her way she reads things. Oh, man, it's just, come on. Unreliable.
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class.
Where they are, I cannot tell you. As I said before, if I knew where the kids were, I would go and get them. I would not care what kind of shit I got into. I would go and get them. And
Derwood and Jordan say that word for word. And in fact, they tried to get me and Mike Demand to say the same thing as a way to reason with the other person. You know, uninvitedly. You know, uninvited. They just volunteered this. Word for word. Like, it's almost like exactly alike. That's how you know they're all working together. But I don't expect everybody out there in the audience to recognize that. I'm just saying because it's so profound in my mind. Well, I guess I should say it like this. That Derwood and her are working together, conspiring, we'll say, in an illegal way. In an illegal way.
there's another thing.
And that probably gets passed on to Jordan. Jordan just parrots what Derwood tells him. If I knew where they were, no matter what kind of shit there was I would get into, I would be there. She's acknowledging that, like, no matter what sort of shit. Well, you can apply that to this situation. This is that no matter what kind of shit that she's in the middle of right now. Only in a different way. Whether she chooses to acknowledge it or not. It could be completely different if they were representing the situation in an accurate, like an accurate depiction, and they're not. They're totally detached from reality here because they're so reliant on this bullshit narrative they gave the RCMP in the beginning. They're too terrified to go outside that script, and they rely too much on over-explanation and storytelling and just sheer bold-faced lies. And people are wise to it. Not that you need them to keep lying to you, because the only reason that they're lying to you is to protect their culpability in the situation. Making them all equally as culpable for whatever happened that led to the deaths of Jack and Lily Sullivan. Why do I say the deaths? Because there's no possible way, according to the story that they have on record giving to the RCMP, that the kids could have walked away. And if these people that are in front of you right now, Malaya, Janie, and Daniel, are so insistent on that being and that being their story, then they have to then sign off onto the kids being unalive as well at this point in time, unable to have sustained life, to have lived themselves. No matter what their heart says, no matter what answer there is, that's not an answer that they gave us. That's not going to be an acceptable answer to an investigator. It's not going to be an acceptable answer to 12 jurors in a courtroom or a judge. That's going to get you a one-way ticket to life in prison. ×2, ×3 for other charges coming down the line, depending on what you want to come forward with, or you're going to be facing it regardless. So the truth at that point in time, you guys can sort out amongst yourselves. Thank God the truth to this isn't just with one person who can hush up about it. Because as soon as they're into it, you're all into it. Yeah, somebody has written that Janie's using words that she can't pronounce properly. Yeah, you can hear it too, Miss K.
That I would like to put out there. I would like whoever has the kids or whoever knows where the kids are, please, if they want to and they want to get out of trouble, please drop them off where they pick them up at night time. We do not have cameras. We do not have an outside street light. It is pure dark. If you watch a video of someone that saw me supposedly spilling potholes in.
Supposedly? What? What the hell word? All right, you got CTE, woman? It's probably got beat so hard with the ugly stick, it's making her stupid. Holy mackerel. You guys think that she's drinking, or is she just this dumb in that sense? How would she know where to go get them? Exactly. So now Anita Benita, without any, now she's into this. Now, there's no if. There's no clear, concise communication that she gets across as to why she has this message, rather than she just thinks it's what she's supposed to do. It's not a just in case, or even talking to Jack and Lily. She's talking to the person who has them in a way that would indicate that she really thinks that's their, in somebody with somebody else, without actually saying it. Now she's got a message for that person. Well, wouldn't that lead you to believe that she thinks that they're out there in the moment? It's so deceptive in how she's putting it into the greater scheme of things in her statement. So fucking bizarre. You're in trouble. No matter how much trouble you're in, you come out here and drop them off. That way I can bring them back in my RV and keep them safe. Like, first of all, if it really was a message out there, don't you think that you would tell somebody to drop them off at a hospital or a place, a fire station, a hospital? That would probably be the first thing that you'd think of. You want them right back at your house again. Why? Because you probably know who has them. Hey, bring them back. It gets you wondering that way, but it's so obscure in that sense. It's not thought out, but it's so bizarre it gets you thinking. No matter what way you get thinking in, it's not the right way. It's not in a way that makes you think that Janie's any more innocent in anything in all of this. It's you just can't put a finger on what the fuck she's going to say next because she never stops. Oh my God, Janie. She has got to be a nightmare to live with. A nightmare. Could you imagine Janie being romantic at like dinner or something like that, and enjoying wine and holding hands and whispering and listening to some soft, gentle music? Just being chill enough to want to spend any amount of time with her. Pass the fucking bread! This butter's too hard. You didn't leave it out long enough.
How dark it is, because They drove by to show everybody how dark it is. If they want to drop the kids off of here, and if they got the kids to yell, my dog would let me know that they're out there. I will go get them, and I will make sure they are safe. The only thing I can tell you about that is I had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. I know Daniel did not have anything to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. The reason I know that, I know in my heart that Daniel would not harm those children. The answer relies with Malaya. She hasn't spoke up, she hasn't come, and she hasn't said anything about all this. That's all I have to say. The rest of the answers to all your questions rely with Malaya.
Rely with Malaya? You did that twice. You're stupid. It's okay to say that. You're dumb. Why is it you're trying to incorporate words that you don't even know the meaning of? That'd be my first question. And where else are you doing that? Well, since we've been listening to you all over the place, honey. My dog will let me know they are out there. Drop them off, make them yell. Just bring them out here. Come knock on the RV first, and I'll be here. She knows how to play the most addictive games on Facebook and work a washer spinner. Well, most addictive app is Temu, bro. The most addictive thing is that device that she has in her hand that she can't put down. None of them can. The fact that that's exacerbated by the substances that they pump into themselves and the booze really preoccupied them right out of reality. Now, Facebook, this DARPA, this experiment gone awry. They're totally encompassed by it. They need to be in everybody's business. It's almost like a dream to them. It's like a fantasy for Janie to be in that many people's business at one fucking time. It's almost like she's developed so much entitlement that she thinks real life should be like that. And that's when her mistreatment of Malaya comes in. Janie's just such a perfect, Stepford wife. In her own right, in that sense. Wouldn't you agree? She's a real trophy wife, boy. Woo! Holy shit. She's a firecracker. Your so-called heart didn't care how those children lived before they went missing. Yeah, here we go. Listen to this stuff. Listen to what's about to come out of her mind. This is what we rewound for.
The only thing I can tell you about that is I had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. I know Daniel did not have anything to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. The reason I know that, I know in my heart that Daniel would not harm those children.
Man, this is something that's going to come up in somebody's classroom in the near future. This exact case. Friends, this is a non-answer. The words that are coming out of her mouth, she could have chosen to talk directly about something, but the words that come out of her mouth don't reflect and are a huge red flag. They don't reflect her true emotions.
The answer relies with Malaya. She hasn't spoke up, she hasn't come, and she hasn't said anything about all this. That's all I have to say. The rest of the answers to all your questions rely with Malaya. I'm going to give an opinion on here, and this is my opinion and my opinion only. I think Sunny should watch what she says about people. She has very, very bad accusations about people, and I do not like it. The reason I am on Facebook...
Daniel's probably sitting in the background writing these things down for her to read. and she's interpreting what it is that she's reading. She can't quite do it properly. And it comes through like she's like somebody that just came out of the Cro-Magnon years.
Is because I will not go on her because she has her opinion, yes, but her accusations towards people is terrible. And I don't like the way she nags Daniel all the time to come on and defend himself. That is up to Daniel to do that, not her agitizing and antagonize him to do it. And I do not go on any other buddy's show. I went on Facebook there a while ago, and I tried to explain to people, give people timelines, and they just screwed it all up. So I went off there. And that was my opinion about Brenda. Just like everybody else has opinions.
Brenda. You need Belinda.
So if everybody took it the wrong way, I'm sorry. I will say Dara did get some things wrong with what I said, but in my interview and on here, I am correcting what he said about events. I am telling my truth about my side of what happened.
Honey, honey, honey. How many more of these slips are we going to tolerate? Your truth doesn't align with the truth. There's only one truth when it comes to what happened to Jack and Lily, and your truth is second best to what really happened. That's such a red flag, Janie. You're acknowledging that there's a difference. Your truth and the truth are two different things. Such a self-centered old bat.
On May 1st,
again, it's priorities, right? Her priority, my truth over the truth in relation to what Jack and Lily, what happened to Jack and Lily is its own point. Excuse me. Forgot where I was going with that. Shit. I'm getting tired.
nobody
getting all tired
was here.
out.
On May 2nd, when Jack and Lily disappeared, the people that stayed here on May 2nd was Malaya's two great aunts and Malaya's grandmother stayed the night. On that Friday, May 2nd, the ones that were in the trailer, which was a family reunion, was Malaya's mother, Cindy, Malaya's grandmother, Patty, Malaya's aunt, I don't know her name, I never met her, Malaya's two great aunts, I never met them, and Cindy's boyfriend. We're all in the big trailer, eating, drinking coffee. I don't believe any of them went out searching. On that Saturday, after everybody left, after the fight or the altercation at the end of the driveway, everybody left. Except Malaya's grandmother Patty was here, and she was going to stay the night. But I think it was Corey, Haley's boyfriend, came and took her. She did not want to leave. But Corey came and took her, and they all left. There was nobody here after that.
Tells me that this part is significant to her, right? She wants to find fault and put blame, like she's cherry picking with Malaya. She's finding something and interpreting it as suspicious because they left after the fight. More like they knew what was going on and the suspicion was out there. The suspicion was out there. They wanted to get Malaya out of there. They were suspect of how people were behaving. Do you know what I mean? Nothing seemed right. they're going to leave. There's nothing for them to do. Like, first of all, what did you expect them to do? You keep insisting that not searching is suspicious. Isn't that reaching a little bit? Seeing how nobody found the kids at all? So you're going to tell people that them not searching is suspicious? Why don't you come across and introduce yourself and tell them exactly why it is that they're searching for a bunch of kids that you yourself lost? You're trying to impress your problems like you are throughout all of this conversation onto the world without taking 1 ounce of responsibility for your fucking own actions, which even the lowest of humans can do. And you choose not to, as though that's okay in this situation. That's the pattern that you're going to find carry on. They're going to continue to find ways to put blame back onto the victims and all of this right to the court, right through their trials. Unless they'll just straight plead guilty to the charges that they present them. Save themselves the embarrassment of being called out in the goddamn courtroom. Now, none of Malaya's family knew that area or those woods. Listen, there was no reason to search. You couldn't. There's no Danny around. There's no crazy old Janie. She wasn't interacting with anybody. You guys were acting sketch. You're fighting with Malaya's cousins at the end of the driveway. Why would they stick around at all? You did your best to chase everybody away. Now you're trying to hold it against them just to get the suspicion at the time off of you. You're just going to take what's being put your way and deflect it onto Malaya's entire family because that's your only hope. Because the truth behind the situation, no matter what it is, points directly back to you and Daniel. And that's the reason that you have the need to come out here and defend yourself nonstop. Because that's exactly what happened. You people are responsible, and you don't want to be. That's why you're lying. You don't want to be held accountable for whatever happened to Jack and Lily Janie, but you will be now. So, how much of it was your fault? You don't want to talk about these things in a realistic sense. You want to talk about it in relation to hearing and not hearing the kids and recognizing silence. Almost that you knew what was about to happen. But how can that be? You're not clairvoyant. You can't see into the future, but you talk like you can. That's right, Trail Hiker. Was the altercation because Haley caught DM doing the math in the bathroom? Absolutely. And Haley associating it to whatever happened to Jack and Lily, and the old bag here flew off the handle and started wanting to throw hands. Then everybody left.
When everybody left on Saturday evening. And I'm going to mention this too, okay? Daniel is a big boy. Or a man. Whatever you guys want to call him. He's my son. I will not stick up for my son. If he is telling the truth or he's telling a lie, that is on him, not me. But I can tell you that Daniel and Justin had nothing to do with the disappearing or anything to do with Jack and Lily.
Nothing to do with the disappearing. She used it in a tense that it's like a verb. The disappearing, the action of disappearing somebody, getting somebody gone. They had nothing to do with the disappearing. You're talking about the disappearing as though that was actually an occurrence. Anybody get that? She doesn't know they're big boys, and if they're lying or telling the truth, she didn't have anything to do with whatever happened to Jack and Lily, because apparently she doesn't know. Now all of a sudden, not knowing if they're telling the truth or not, she can for sure tell you that they didn't have anything to do with Jack and Lily going, or getting, they don't have anything to do with the action of disappearing Jack and Lily, as though that was what happened. That's close. Like, I mean, that's what she said. That's right there is the closest thing to Janie saying what she thinks happened to the kids. And she probably slipped. That's leakage right there, boys. High five, everybody. I knew we sat here for 3.5 hours for nothing. Yeah, we heard it right.
The reason why I'm saying that Justin and
Like The Shining, the disappearing, you know what I'm saying? It's not an unfinished statement. That was a word she used. She used it in a way that it's an action word.
Daniel had nothing to do with the disappearing or the deceased or whatever everybody's saying that he did.
The disappearing or the deceased. So she's identifying the two things that we are going out of our way to tell you about. She herself is identifying in her language the incident that took their lives and the cover-up. In other words, she's identifying the crimes in her language right there. The disappearing and the unaliving. The unaliving, the deceased she used. Oh, you mean homicide, bitch? Homicide? Man, oh man.
Or that he murdered Jack and Lily. I know that is not true because my heart is telling me that.
Holy shit. That's an embedded admission right there. Or finally, she just forget about it all and said red rum. Red rum the kids. Why? Immediately because her heart tells her that they didn't. That thing inside you that she just can't explain. That's a fancy way of telling you that she's avoiding answering that question. Imagine if you went to the bank and they said that to you in there. Oh, what's my balance? Oh, you know, it's in my heart, but I just can't quite feel out exactly what the final balance is, sir. That's not a non-answer. That's her going to not making any sense again on purpose.
It is not true. And nobody can tell me, by the way, these behavioral experts are saying the way he's moving in his actions and everything and stuff like that. A mother knows the truth.
The moving in his actions and all that. A mother knows the truth. She's insisting that you believe her based on absolutely nothing. Is that not an answer for you guys? Does that not tell you everything? A mother knows. A mother knows. You think that she's probably back there smoking a cigar.
About their child. I did not carry him for 9 months and raise him until he got out on his own. What I don't know what that boy's about.
Whatever the fuck that was, she didn't know where that was going. He's never really actually left. Where did you want to go with that there, you old bat?
Believe me,
Believe me.
If you're a mother, you know. Your heart tells you.
Believe me. Trust me, I'm Janie, and I live in this RV in my driveway. Friends, we'll be back again tomorrow. I appreciate making this little headway with you all here tonight. This has been Janie's Embedded Admission, where she's really introduced to us that Justin and Daniel, Red Rum, disappearing, and a conspiracy to cover that up. They're not guilty of any of that. Fuck, that's a very rare clip right there. Janie, that's exactly what you guys are doing. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
I know for 100% they won't find anything.
So what do you make of the fact that they are bringing the cadaver dogs in?
Janie's got a rake.
Well, I'm actually pretty happy about that.
Janie's got a rake.
I even hope that they bring more than one.
She's got so much to do.
So what are you happy about?
Her driveway needs a pool.
I would just like to see maybe the social media speculation theories and accusations, maybe they're not going to stop, but slow down. Because at this point, they're getting ridiculous.
When Danny was arrested, they found him on the pipeline trail. In front of helicopters running, now that Janie's got a rake, Fluffy's never gonna be the same. Daniel's so fake, now what's he gonna do? Was he building a fence or clearing for a pool? Did the kids go to sleep at 10 or at 8? Little Danny boy can't escape his fate. Danny's more concerned about what you're thinking. The kids are an afterthought, let that sink in. Trolling the net pops up like a whack-a-mole. You wanna buy a story with a giant hole? Apparently Thursday had no detail. Here comes Mike on a mission to derail all of the BS Danny is speaking. International sea of guilt is leaking. Thinks he's so smart, but he never took the course. Forensic linguistics will knock him off his horse. Shout out to Tint for the 4K drone shots. Now it is clear that his house is in earshot. Mystery car running trips through the night. Observed by Wonk, he could even see the headline. Victim blaming is degrading the children. He's more concerned about the world's perception. Girl after girl, he receives rejection. At least he's got his mum when he needs some affection. Janie's got a rake.
So are you thinking that the dog